Good evening, everyone. It's 7:43. We started the evening earlier today with three non-public sessions, one related to fire and two prior to that related to the DPW. So at this time, I'd like you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we'll open with public comment.
Jackie Pratt, Winter Road. Over the last several weeks, there have been many conversations in regarding to a building permit and the question of a need for a variance based on a court ruling of the interpretation of the town zoning ordinance. That court order does not state that the interpretation is on a go-forward basis, but rather that it is the interpretation. This means that would be from the time of inception of the ordinance. The board at times took the stand that they do not have purview over variances and that they may be inserting themselves into a decision that they should not make. The structure of land use in New Hampshire offers the zoning ordinances are created by the planning board and that the zoning board of adjustments reviews those ordinances when considering an application for a variance or relief against the ordinance. This board then took the stand to make a decision that the requirement be waived at last week's BOS meeting on the influence of the town administrator's recommendation of the town attorney's opinion. There is no RSA stating that the select board nor town attorney is the decision maker of whether or not a variance is required. If there is any sound legal finding that this should be the case, I request that the board provide that in the administrator's report at the next BOS meeting. Since attorney-client privilege was broken in the 12924 emails sent to all parties by Town Administrator Bolton, this should not be an issue. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Frank Campana, Quaker Street. I see on the agenda tonight for the DPW, you're going to discuss education agreement. Not knowing exactly what it is, I'm going to go out on a limb. I heard it mentioned a few meetings ago prior to the new members. The thought of if you had to hire somebody for the DPW and they didn't have a CDL license, that it would, the town would help that person, either through an education class, away from, private company, or have somebody maybe from the DPW that would be educated enough to train somebody in that route. So I don't know if that's what it is, but in any event, if it resembles that at all, I think the board should, without hesitation, consider that if that is extended to an individual, that individual signs on to stay with the town for a certain amount of time. You have to figure out, and that was mentioned at that meeting also. But I have also mentioned that over the years, specifically to the police department. The police chief can enter this into his notebook on me if he wants to. But how many cops has the town paid, has the taxpayers paid to get certified? And then they up and leave after a certain amount of time. It's not cheap to, not inexpensive to educate a cop, but, we're a training ground. And I don't think that can be denied. Again, I had mentioned to the board, some years past for at least a couple of times, and, nothing was ever done. I don't remember what the response was from the board. But I think by all means, if you're going to use taxpayers' money to train somebody, and I'm talking about again, CDL or certainly a policeman, that there ought to be something out there that makes them obligated to either pay If they want to, if they want to get certified today and they want to leave next week, then either pay the difference, pay some amount of money towards that, or to obligate themselves for a certain amount of time, so the taxpayer's not footing the bill. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
Any other public comment? Great. Thank you all. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Richard Butt. I'd like to thank Selectman Pratt and Selectman Drury for volunteering their time to serve the town. It wasn't a very competitive race. Thanks for volunteering.
Thank you.
A little concerned about the after effect of the warrant, especially Article 10. It appears that the Board of Selectmen did not support, at least some of the members, did not support any of the articles for the fire department, including not even putting a couple of articles on the warrant that were proposed. One was to make the fire chief a full-time position. That didn't even make it on the warrant. But the one that did, which a proactive approach to increase wages, to make it more competitive. They did a study, and they found that they weren't competitive. It was a nominal increase. The total increase between the COLA and the wage adjustment was 11%. But it seemed like it was too much for somebody, and an amendment was made. Basically, you took my vote away from me. If I wanted to vote to support the COLA raise for the employees, and I wanted to vote in support of the fire department, you took my vote away from me. That amendment, which was supported by a selectman, took my vote away. If I voted for that, and it passed, but I wonder if the people know that even though it passed, it didn't go into effect because of Article 8, I believe. If Article 8 passed, Article 10 was zeroed out. I would question how many people read the last sentence of an article. I'm pretty close to what's going on, but I would say the majority of the people look at the first 3 sentences and make a decision. I think it was unfair, and basically you did take my vote away. And for a selectman to support that, to me, sends a message to the fire department that we're not supporting you. Even though they did a study, I don't know if you even read the study. It's disappointing to see how the board, and at least one selectman, acted towards that particular article, and in general to the fire department. I noticed you have a item on your agenda discussing path forward for fire department integration. I mean, this shouldn't be a surprise to you, right? I mean, you knew you were going to wind up with the fire department. We had issues with the fire department one time. We had selectmen attend every Board of Fire Wards meeting. We alternated. You didn't have one, as far as I know, you didn't have one member of the board attend a Board of Fire Wards meeting to get a sense as to what's going on, what the issues were. But suddenly you seem to know everything by denying some of these articles to go on the warrant. I think you're sending a message to the fire department that it's not going to be a positive message, in my opinion. And that's a department that's very crucial to the town and has been operating very efficiently for the past 5 or 10 years. The prior chief put a 5-year plan in place, and it was approved every year to the point where we had full-time firefighters, 24/7 coverage, a very professionally run department. I hope it continues. The other thing is that I notice you do have a setting priorities, I guess. And I'm hoping that you at least consider a wage and salary study a priority, to find out exactly where we stand with other towns. And don't do it yourself. Hire an agency to do it. The other thing is I'd like to find out, when you do set your priorities, where spending costs, spending concerns are with the operating budget, and also where's your priority regarding maybe cutting taxes. I wonder if those even appear on your list of priorities. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else for a public comment? Okay. Thank you all. We did meet earlier, as I said, with interviewing a potential hire, Matt Lagrande. hopefully I'm close,
Legender?
Legender, for a truck driver. We interviewed him. He does have a CDLA and is available to start tomorrow at a rate of $24 an hour. Does anyone want to make that motion?
Move that we hire Matthew Legender as a truck driver at the rate of $24 an hour,
Effective,
effective tomorrow,
okay.
April 2nd.
Anyone second?
Second?
Okay. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, 5-0, passes. Okay. All right, I think, Monique, you're up first as far as deeding discussion.
So I emailed you all the 21 deed list. Hopefully you guys had time to look at it. So you can, and you've gone over, as to, if you have any questions or concerns as to what the list entails. It's pretty straightforward as to what we have that is going to deed. Everything on this list is up for deed, whether we want it or not. I did star, like I said, potential, if we do not want a property. I do have waivers that do need to be signed by you guys tonight, because I do need to send out to the, search company as to who we are deeding and who we are not deeding.
Can you just give us a brief status on where we're at? These are
Yeah.
2 years old, so I assume that means
Yeah,
that we've gone
this-
through a
this-
certain amount of process
This-
already.
Yep, so all these, map and lots homeowners have received certified letters ×2. They've been either returned to me, unclaimed, or just have no communication at all. Some of them have previous, payment plan arrangements that some have failed to comply with, and some have still tried to comply with, but they're not meeting the needs. They're not gonna, it's not gonna work for what they owe. They can keep, their plan that they have is not going to, it needs to be redone, in other words. But I did have somebody come in today with an application for a payment plan that you guys will have to go over, review, and accept whether you want it or not. If not, then there's a second option that they can go forth with, that I'll have to bring in front of you folks to approve or not for their back taxes.
So on the list you gave us, how do we know if they do have a payment plan?
You do, these,
These do not? Just
I
be a-
can let you know who has a payment plan. There's only a couple on here that do have a payment plan. I can tell you by map and lot number. It's on second page. It's map and lot number 20267 and 20266. They're the only ones with a payment plan right now. And what is paid by them is every 2 weeks, and it's not gonna suffice. She can pay that, and it's never gonna add up to what's owed.
Any questions for Monique?
This isn't the first time, I'll just speak up too, this is not the first time, because every year we print tax bills. There's a line on a tax bill that they receive that says past due amounts. So this isn't a surprise to anybody, whether they pick up their certified letter or they don't pick up their certified letter. If they don't pick it up, it's like, I didn't get it, you can't take it. That's not how that works. So every year, 21, 22, 23, we've continued to put on the past due amount on every bill, the first half and second half. It keeps compiling.
They get a courtesy letter, and then they get a certified letter,
Yep.
and then they get their lien letter. So they get multiple letters a year.
Courtesy letters don't come back, the certifieds do, so.
So if I'm not mistaken, according to the law, we cannot, we have to move forward doing something.
Correct. And if you don't want to, like I said, take any property, then you'd need to sign all of the waivers, and then we just go forth, they stay in lien.
And is there a limit for how long they can stay in lien? Can go on forever.
If you were to sign them all, we could diligently work on more payment plans, because we only have one person that's doing it. Some of these that you see are in mobile home parks, and they haven't paid them either. So if you take them, the town aware is subject to the monthly lease at the mobile home as well. That's why those are the ones that are very difficult.
Those are the ones that are not starred.
Right.
And this was due when?
This doesn't, this, I have to, this isn't due until, June. June 2nd is when I send out the deeds.
Okay.
But I have to send out to the mortgagee, search companies tomorrow as to when, this was supposed to come to you guys last Monday, but because of the weather, there was no meeting. And there was no computers because we had no power, so there was no way to,
So last Monday was the first time this got compiled?
No, it's
No, no,
been
this-
ongoing.
it's been
compiling.
ongoing.
And people come in every day and have, the list has changed every day
I've
in the
changed
last
this-
week.
3 times since.
So you're recommending the ones that are starred,
That is correct.
that we move forward with taking the deed? And the
Correct.
rest that we put the waivers through? Is that
Correct.
correct?
Because the ones without the star are not, I don't want to say more, not, they're not more of an asset.
And you
Then
may
we're-
not, I'm sorry, and you
There-
may not get to the deed date, because once the mortgage company finds out that you're gonna lose it, they typically will step in and pay it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happens in a good amount of the cases, so what you formally deed in June, I
Might not
don't
be that.
believe is gonna be this.
Okay.
Can it be assumed that the ones that are not in parks are
Yes.
sitting on their property too?
Yeah.
Correct.
This
They're on
is-
a, yes.
And again, the waiver, if we waive them, what
If we
what is
waive
going
them,
on?
then nothing takes place. They stay in lien status, and then we try to work out, again, more payment plans with them.
Okay.
Any further discussion?
How does this compare to other years?
Well, this is my first time doing this. I will say it's definitely larger than I would think. But I can look back at what the previous tax collector has done, and I can let you know what the difference is.
This is much larger.
It seems like a
Part of the
lot.
problem is it's rolled into, because during the pandemic in 19 and 20, we were not allowed to take property or do anything. So all of that has just snowballed into, if you didn't pay your 18s, your 19s, or your 20s, we couldn't do anything about it. So some of these are rolled into that as well, because we couldn't take their homes because of the pandemic. It was a whole
So the
thing.
clock didn't start till 2022?
It didn't start, but it's same thing with, any other thing that they put on hold for a while, doesn't mean you don't pay us.
And then
'Cause it's a lot of
actually,
money.
the 20s weren't able to be deeded because of our search person that we used neglected to get our information to us in a lengthy time, so we could not. And that's why we had to switch, or we requested to switch our mortgagee search company. So this is your, say, 18, 19, 20, 21 altogether.
Well,
For some.
For some, not all.
And just to confirm, when there's a lien on the property, if it goes to be sold, then the lien, they'd have to take care of that first.
Correct. You cannot do anything with your property if you have a lien. And a lien is for a year, and then you have 2 years to rectify that lien. If not, then you go to deed. Then the town has rights to deed your property, take it. And so there's ample time to take care of.
And is there a difference if it's a commercial property?
No,
No?
nope,
Process is the same?
process the same.
And like you said, we may choose to to deed these, and these may change before June
Yeah,
because of
'cause-
the mortgage company.
Yes,
Okay.
because what'll happen is we search the mortgages, the mortgage companies would get the file. Then most of them step up and pay, and then somehow either reorganize, restructure, add it on the end of their mortgage. It's not, because most people today do roll it together. A lot of people chose not 2 years back. And there are some, that's gonna be honest with you, that don't have a mortgage company. But when they get that letter stating that by June 2nd, we're gonna deed your property, they usually will come in. So that's why when you come to actually deed the property, I'm pretty certain you're not gonna see that many of them, because they're not gonna lose their homes.
And some of them are summer homes.
Yeah.
And when it does happen, if it does happen, the town does get it. Correct me if, I don't know, maybe the rest of you guys know how it works, but if I remember right, by our temporary garages, it gets sold, the town gets back this amount on this paper, and that person gets whatever's left in.
Plus some fees.
Plus some
yeah.
interest.
Yeah, there's
Fees and interest,
administration
but yeah.
fees.
Yeah, we do not keep the whole proceeds.
Yeah.
We're
That law
basic-
changed a while ago.
Basically selling it off for them. And if there's any cleanup to do,
That
it comes out of
usually
the price, but we gotta do it.
We can sell it contingent upon.
Right.
I mean, you, in your garage case, we needed a place, so we cleaned it up,
It
yes.
worked out, but I
Right.
guess, but there's lots of oil and stuff and vandalism, and we had to pay for all that, which got reimbursed after, but just so everybody knows that if you see something that looks like a house and you think that the town's gonna get 300,000, you're not, you're gonna get this number, is it, so.
And then usually statute of statute of limitations, let me try that one more time. You used to be able to have to hold it for 3 years, none of you were on the board at that time, but Rick was, so he's sitting in the crowd, is we would hold an auction. We'd get together at the middle school, we'd hold an auction, and then people would bid on properties. And we declared the minimum, and typically the minimum was to get your tax money and your administration fee back. Anything over that, years ago, we were able to keep if we kept it longer than 3 years. So the first year we ever did it, I think we put in $200,000+ into unreserved money that we didn't know because of the sales. Now you can't do that because it was a lawsuit from a gentleman in Bedford. And so now we're only allowed to keep the tax money, the administrative fee, and then the rest of the funds we actually turn over to not the person. Goffstown District Court gets it, goes into an interpleader account. Interpleader account, then the judge takes it, Goffstown takes it from there. They put out a notice, like if there's mechanic liens or anybody else that thinks they owe you money. But it's out of our case at that point. The judge takes care of each case after that.
Yeah.
We just keep what's ours, and then we send it to Goffstown.
And we
Say-
can do
say-
auction or sealed bid, is that correct?
We can do either, yeah.
Say it is a home, hold it for 3 years, what happens at 3 years?
Doesn't matter if you hold it for 2 years, 6 months, or 20 years, you gotta still send it, because of the new lawsuit that was done in Bedford.
Right, but we have to hold it for 3 years, right? Oh.
No, you can
that's
have an
what you
auction this summer with something that you took now.
said. Oh, all right, I thought you said you had to hold it for 3 years.
That was it.
That was prior.
That was prior.
Okay.
Yeah, you worked for us at that point when we had the auction, but it's no longer holding it for 3 years.
Oh, yeah, all right, I didn't hear that right.
And then whatever you take does go on our exposure list. So what happens is we have to go through eviction for all these ones that you're gonna end up
Well,
taking.
that was my question, you know, keeping pipes from freezing, stuff of that for 3 years
Right.
is a bear.
Right, so if you, just saying, you go through the deed process in June, you can have an auction in September. Then you're not worried about heating, you're not worried about pipes freezing, you're not worried about, but once you deed them in June, they do become part of our exposure list. And they're put on there at the assessed value.
So how do we know if there is any environmental or other concerns with any of these properties?
So she shared the list with all the department heads. No one has come back with anything. We can do a second search out there for that, but again, it's really the fire chief, the police chief, and DPW, because we don't have the building inspector to go look, we don't have other things. We can certainly have department, Katie can look them all up and see if there's any violations or complaints in the file. That would be the right thing to do, but we have time between now and June to do that. You're just signing to move forward.
Okay.
That doesn't mean you're gonna have to sign the tax deed when it comes time in June if they're still outstanding. You're just giving her direction on moving forward.
How do we determine the fees if it gets to that point? We talked about, the town would retain the tax bill and some amount of fees. So how is that fee structure determined?
Which usually a percentage.
Yeah.
I mean, I could check around what other towns do. Sometimes it's 10%, 15% administration fee based on the total of the taxes that are due.
So it's not actual cost, it's,
No, it's
It's a
based,
percentage.
it's typically based on what they owe you, because that's something that you can multiply 15% by. But it's paid interest all the way the day you sell it. So when we go to auction and you have to come up with an amount, we have to figure the interest to the day you're gonna sell it, and that's where your minimum bid would start, plus your administration fee.
Yeah, I asked the question, it's my opinion, I think that should be minimized. Like, these are people's homes for the most part, and, yeah, I don't know, we don't, there's a famous case, last year. It doesn't matter. I don't think we should be taking people's money just because they failed to give us some money. So, it's not very eloquent.
No, and I understand that.
Yeah,
and-
I'm not
and-
suggesting anything, while we're talking about it now.
And I hope we don't get there.
Yep.
Truly. When it comes to June, I hope we only have maybe 2. I do know there's one at the estate, you're not gonna get that one. Pretty simple.
Okay.
And we get a phone call today on, top of the second page, they called it 4:30, wanting to know what they could do, come in with a check or whatever, so.
I called them and left a message, and I got
Yeah.
no return call back, so I don't know what their plan is.
Okay.
But like Naomi said, as soon as they get or hear, they get nervous. Like rightfully so. But I don't wanna take their home.
I don't think anyone here does.
No,
One of the parts of the job that aren't fun.
exactly.
Okay. So do you need a motion? Do you just need
I just-
concurrence? What do you need?
What I need is if you're, whatever ones you're not gonna take, I have them, if you're not gonna take it, I need these waivers signed for the ones you're not going to take. If you are going to, then I just need to know which ones you are, so then I can move forward to make a list for the mortgagee search. But this paper here just states that we are not taking it, and it's got the RSA on it, and I just need you all to sign it so I can put it in the file. And these are all done, there's no names on here, it's all done by map and lot number.
so
And
there's
it goes-
there's one for each?
Each one,
Okay.
actually the one on the second page top, there's actually 3 for that one, because he has land as well that goes along with that property.
Okay.
Yep.
So the ones we don't sign, you know,
Yep, if you don't sign it, then I don't send it.
I know you said this before, but just,
Yeah.
can you repeat? So the asterisks with your recommendations, are you saying we should not we should only sign those today? Or do we get to the point 6 months from now, 3 months from now?
If those ones that has the asterisk on them, those are properties that are on land, like they have land, they're on their own, they're not in a mobile home park, they're not in a campground where you're gonna have fees and things like that if you do intend taking.
So these are the ones you're suggesting do not
Correct.
sign the waiver?
That
Well, two
you-
sign,
You do sign,
Two
if they
sign.
have a
Oh.
star, to sign them.
yeah, sign them, not waivers, but to sign them.
No, no,
No,
You're
she's
confusing me.
confused, you were right.
you were right.
The ones.
Okay.
If they have a star, do not sign them.
Okay.
Then I can send.
Your suggestion is do not sign the
Correct.
waiver?
You're
Okay.
right.
And you wanna leave those and I can pick through them and you could do them later if you wanted versus continuing on. It's
Is
entirely
that
up
all
to
right
you
if we do
guys.
it at the end of the meeting?
Yeah, that's,
Sign it
as
then?
long as I have them by morning, that's
Okay.
fine with me.
You
I'm okay with that.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
And then I do have, I'll leave this too, it's the application for the, tax payment, application for the family that wants to do payments.
Okay, but that payment plan is signed a waiver
They do
at
have
this
a-
point, at this point,
Okay,
yeah,
so there's that, and they go in order.
okay.
I'll leave you the whole folder. so you can just-
Yeah, I'll explain your desk.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Mindy.
you.
Thank you, have a good night.
You
You
too.
too.
Thanks.
Okay, I think that brings us up to Jason, DPW Director Jason Fisk.
Those are the truck specs.
Thanks.
Okay, so as far as the cab and chassis goes for the bid awards, got one bid from ATG, which is a Western Star 47X. We already have 4 of these trucks. They're very similar. They're 4700s. This is just a newer model, same truck essentially. Then we have a bid from Allegiance. It's an International HX 520. That's the truck that we've got the past 2 years.
Western Star got the Cummins or Detroit in it?
Western Skies look at Detroit. 13 liter like the rest of them.
I knew they offered both now, so I didn't know.
So the Western Star came in at $155,183, and the International came in at $181,000.
After a trade, that's the
That's
final
no,
number?
that's no trade involved
Okay.
in either one of those
Okay.
numbers. The International went up last year, the price was $155,000, so it's gone up considerably. That route would be pretty tight when it comes to the money that we have allocated as far as the warrant article, if we went with the International. Nothing against the truck, I think, the one that we have did a very good job this winter. We have the one that got voted on last year is ready to go be picked up, so DPW is gonna pick that up tomorrow. Western Star, we haven't had any serious problems with the models that we've had before. solely based on the price, I'm gonna recommend that we award the bid to ATG with the Western Star.
What do they have for, warranties?
They're both pretty similar factory warranties, as far as the timeline.
And what is the timeline, actually? Build time?
They were doing a 7-year.
Yeah, but when's their forecasted build date?
So the International, he stated that it would probably be next year this time. In the Western Star, he said that we could get it in October of this year. So that's, another plus for them, but again, it wouldn't be something that we'd plow with
This year anyway?
this year anyway.
Warranty starts on delivery and open?
So the way that it works is, as soon as the truck's upfit and I call the salesman and say, hey, we have the truck in our possession, all ready to go, the warranty kicks in.
Okay.
I move we award the truck bid to ATG for Western Star 47X for $155,183.
Is there a second?
Second?
Any further discussion? Here's the specs if you need to see them, or would like to see them. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
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 Yes. 5-0, that passes.
Thank you.
This was for Article 6.
It was 16,
Article
correct?
16.
Is that correct? This one was 16?
Jason, Article 16, is that
Yes.
10-wheel?
The 10-wheel, correct?
Yep. This will be the other half, yeah.
So, next bit of paper you have in front of you is for plow equipment. Dump body, plows, all the rest of the stuff we need to go ahead and use the truck. Got one from Viking for $100,800 and another from HP Fairfield for $109,995.
What kind of equipment from Fairfield?
Basically the same stuff that we've been running. He quoted out a 14-foot body.
What, Tenco?
Tenco, yeah. So I'm gonna suggest, we already have a barn full of Tenco equipment. We have parts on the shelf for these bodies and for the plows. I don't see a need personally for us to switch. Being the mechanic prior to DPW director, I think they're fairly easy to work on. Most of the trucks, all the parts are interchangeable as far as the body goes. I think that stands to reason why we should stick with them, keep going in that direction.
Were you happy with the upfit in the last one?
They missed a couple things in the truck in 2023. I actually got a chance to go look at the truck we're gonna pick up, and they made corrections to all that stuff. So I think they've owned up to whatever little mistake that they made and made it right.
So once they get the truck, how long does it take to put everything on it?
If they have all the stuff there, as soon as the truck comes in, it'll take a couple months. We might be able to get the truck in October, but it's hard to say when the body will actually be at the upfitter, so
Yeah, did they have a forecast on that?
I didn't get one from him. They've been pretty close to a year for the past couple years anyway, so.
Say it's a 1-year lead to outfit it or 1-year lead to order it?
For the body and all the stuff to show up.
Before they can even
Yeah.
put it. Got
The
it.
manufacturer has to build the body for us and then ship it down to them to get it upfitted.
All right. But that all happens in parallel?
Yeah, as soon as I know, I'll call him. I'll call him tomorrow morning and say, or whoever it may be, say, hey, you got the bid. Go ahead and get the stuff ordered, so.
And we got a lessons learned that they missed some stuff, and that's what we're gonna ask up front. Hey,
Yeah.
don't forget.
Yeah, yeah, like I said, I got an email last Thursday and, said the truck was done, so I went down there Friday, and they were actually closed for Good Friday, but I was able just to walk around our new truck and saw that they had made, corrections to what they did, and then they, sent us over some stuff for the truck that they, didn't put on last year, which it wasn't very major things. It was a couple minor things, but still, it's,
It's not what you paid for.
exactly, yeah. They were things that would make our lives easier for sure, but it wasn't like the body was completely wrong or, anything like that, so,
But, so they made it right.
yeah.
Cool. Anybody else? No? Would anyone like to make a motion?
You did say Fairfield, right? Okay. Double checking before I start talking. I'll move that we accept the bid from HP Fairfield for the 2024 dump body and plow equipment for the cost of $109,995.
Second?
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Yes.
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 I'm gonna abstain for the fact that one reached out and asked if I would give a good recommendation, which I didn't, but it's gonna pass anyway. That way I'm not involved in it.
Okay. Thank you for explaining that. So, 401 still passes.
To be clear, I didn't give a bad recommendation, I didn't give any recommendation.
And this is for chip sealing?
Okay.
So the bid you have in front of you is for chip sealing. We got one bid from All States Construction. They have been doing it consistently for us for gotta be 7-8 years at least, right?
Anyway,
Yeah. So they're at $3.25 a square yard for chip sealing, and per the list I gave for the bid, he bid out 2 days of crack sealing at $6,000 a day for any that was necessary.
what was
And
it? Oh, go ahead, sorry.
I just wanted to reiterate the importance of crack sealing before you chip seal. You want to make sure that no water's able to get underneath the pavement. That's the biggest downfall on a paved road, is getting any water in there and getting frost heaves, and a little hole turns into a big hole really fast.
So was there a set amount you were doing, or are you just getting a price per square, so you,
Yeah, Salem's got the bid notice in that packet. I just wanted to show Benji, that's all.
Oh, all right, that's fine.
It'll be there in
I
just a
wanted to
second.
know, no, I just wanna know if there's an actual number besides this one. Sure is. Gotcha.
Yeah, I put out a list, and they're pretty good. If I need to dumb the list down or, raise it up a little bit, he's,
Well, this isn't necessarily for us,
Do you need to see this?
say $300,000, this is just to do
Yeah.
what you wanna do.
yeah. You go to the second page, I believe, in that packet.
Do you have any idea why they were the only one who bid?
We're the only ones that do it.
I was gonna say, I think
They're
they
it.
get the one corner mark.
I've heard there's one other company, I've never seen or heard their work, I don't even know their name, so. Kind of the only pony in town.
So pardon the ignorance, what exactly is chip sealing?
So it's a chip stone,
Oh, yeah,
that gets laid down on the road. It's
Okay.
just it's a preservative.
I was wondering what that was.
What was done on Reservoir Drive.
Yeah. That's just the heat and the wear kind of blended into the road.
He
is that-
does eventually, yeah.
We've had whole seminars on that for a couple of years.
Yeah, yeah. It was foreign to this part of the country when, not this town, when I started it.
The first time I saw it, I'm like, what, they're making this a dirt road now?
Right? It's common everywhere else in the country. It's a good wearing course to do on a good road.
Yep.
Don't do it on a junk road.
Does it help in the winter? Just curiosity. Does it make it a little rougher?
I really haven't seen a difference plowing on it, honestly, but
I will say Mountain Road, when we did that rubber chip, they used bigger rock, it was aggressive,
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
till we knocked the tops off the rocks. This is for conventional?
It is, yeah. Yeah, the rubber seals, or the rubberized is, it's about $1 more, so
Yes,
pretty close.
that's expensive.
Yeah.
I don't remember which of you it was last year, gave the warning to everybody, like, hey, when this starts happening, we are not paving a road that was just paved a year or two ago.
Yeah.
This is,
Right. Not
Preventative.
grinding it up, yeah. No, I'm fine with it, just, I'm used to seeing like a number, like you're gonna do 300,000, but I guess you did this so that you can back out of a couple roads if you want.
I did it just so I could kind of play around with the budget as far as road maintenance and reconstruction, get what we needed to get done hopefully this year.
What percentage of your budget is this? Of the road budget?
That goes through, it's about 1/6, I guess,
1/6.
yeah.
Normally,
100,000 to 150,000.
that's pretty normal. I'm
We
not
did-
familiar, so.
We did 75,000 last year. So it's
Right.
a little step up, but, not by much. Like Benji said, I kinda threw a list together so I could, either dumb it down or if the money was there, we could, put a couple more roads on, but
All right.
again, there's just some bigger projects that I wanna make sure we have, money for.
Guess some roads are shorter than I thought they were.
That's how it is when you grow up and move on.
I guess so, huh?
Any other questions for Jason? Okay. Anyone like to make a motion?
I move that we award 2024 chip seal bid to all states for a price of $3.25 per square yard. And any crack sealing needed to be done would be at a rate of $6,000 a day, if necessary.
Estimate the square yardage, or
All right.
should we estimate that square yardage on the, for a total cost, or just per
Have
square
that
yard
there.
good?
This estimated yardage for the roads that he's thinking about, but he doesn't know if he's doing them for sure.
Yeah, so it'd be an estimate.
Wait, for an estimate, 35,000 square yards.
Okay. Second,
Second?
any further discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
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 Okay, that one was easy.
Thank you. So I guess we'll move right on to the road. So myself and Naomi were able to contact a couple references like we had talked about last week when we left our meeting. Just as we suspected, nobody really put down a bad reference. There's one company that somebody stated their timeline was a little out, but they thought that it wasn't all their fault. There were some other factors at play as far as it possibly being a DOT thing, them getting their permits in with DOT, like we had talked about last week at their meetings, that you're kind of at their will when it comes to that.
Did they by chance make any comment how they recouped from that? I know they were off, but
How did
So
they
that's a
recover?
project that's in play right at the moment. I believe one of the, I won't call it a hard deadline, but was on January of this year. So they're a couple
And they're
months.
just getting around to submit now.
Yeah, they're a couple months out on that, but, as far as their work goes, nobody had anything bad to say.
Nobody had any bad thing about budget. They stayed within budget.
So I think personally we go with the people who we're familiar with. I guess my opinion was when we left the meeting, we were all leaning that way anyway. We're gonna double check, make sure that nobody had any extremely bad things to say.
So what is your recommendation,
Jacobs.
Jacobs? Did anyone have a different opinion that they want to talk about?
Nope.
I know you missed the
Yep.
discussion,
Yep,
so.
I was out sick for the
Do
meeting.
you have
but I
any
guess
questions from what you did have?
No, I had sent along the question I did have. I guess, yeah, I didn't get an answer. It was
The
about
two in order,
Jacobs. What's that?
the order you had was similar to.
But I was curious about, I don't know how much I can talk about it. Because that was done in non-public, but I wasn't there, so. I do have a question that had to do with
Okay.
Jacobs.
well, we're non-public to avoid the players hearing anything
Yeah,
that was going on.
competitive
True.
advantage.
So really, it was just that Jacobs said that they had already worked with the wetland, is that right? The wetlands group
Yeah.
had already come out and looked at it and had suggested that would expedite
Already
things.
got
So I
it,
was curious
yeah.
how much that would expedite things.
I believe we asked that question, and it's work that's done up front, but the design still would be scheduled for August
Right.
for completion. And
But
they're ahead of the game, but they won't be any later.
yeah, the three that I had available to review all looked good. I see no reason not to go with Jacobs. I'm still gonna abstain because it wasn't part of the detailed discussion.
Outside of the presentation handout that we
Yeah.
couldn't see the pictures, they were very comprehensive.
They were definitely paper conscious,
Okay.
conscious.
In the wetlands that was done, anybody that's done, so it's not like a different company that would do it. However, there are people that came out, are familiar with the project, and would do nothing but speed it up. It wouldn't slow it down anyways.
No, it's not, that wasn't a big disadvantage to anybody else.
I
as
guess
far
my
as-
personal biggest interest was the lead engineer on it is familiar with the project, familiar with why that bridge failed, and hopefully won't give us another one that does, I guess was my personal gravitation to that firm, was the lead engineer, and his familiarity with it.
Okay. So who would like to make a motion to go forward with Jacobs?
What's it for, is Jacobs, was it Jacobs Incorporated?
Jacobs Engineering.
Jacobs Engineering. I move that we award the, engineering portion of the River Road Bridge project to Jacobs Engineering.
Second that.
Any further discussion? No? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
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 Would abstain.
Okay. Thank you. Do you need the RFQ number or anything like that?
No, we have a meeting Wednesday, so we'll be able to tell you next week what our next steps are. We have a meeting with the state.
Okay.
We'll tell them who we've selected, and then we'll go for the next step.
Okay. Well, that's moving forward.
You have one more.
Okay,
Your educational expense agreement, I believe, is next.
yes, I hope you all have had a little bit of time to
Did you see this?
check that out. I would like to say that, this is essentially the same agreement that fire has, as far as some of their training.
And just for the audience and folks at home, what actually is this agreement?
This would be for training, a CDL driver. So taking somebody who doesn't have a CDL license, and then the town would go ahead and pay for, their schooling to get it. So this is, essentially the same as the fire's education agreement. Things have just been changed to, accommodate CDL drivers.
So you're asking for a 24-month prorated retention,
Exactly.
okay? And 24 months is reasonable because why?
I think that's long enough for us to, get some use out of somebody, get our investment back. And, I just think with, the amount of time now and training that needs to be done with the new federal regulations, that this is the way to go. Just as long as we know we have the right candidate for that.
So this is after they complete their training, the 24 months kicks in, it's not while they're training?
Training's only 6 weeks, it's not very long.
Okay.
So I think that's almost negligible, really.
It's a month, month and a half, so it's not that negligible.
Yeah, it's some time.
One thing that stood out to me, really it's kind of section 3. It says, after receiving licensing, student will serve as a CDLB driver with the town of Ware for a period of not less than 24 months. There have been cases, this isn't a great example because I think he's still technically a truck driver, but like there may be times where we need to move people around and they're not, driving a truck, but they're still serving the town. And may move back, so I'd hate to, catch somebody on a technicality. I know the intent is, pay for people to learn to drive and keep them driving, but I don't have a suggested edit. But it seems that if there was some carve out for, if we move people around, it's not gonna hurt them.
Just say they remain in the employment of the town.
Yeah. It almost seems too broad, but I think it's the correct fix.
Public Works,
What's that?
or Public Works, I don't have a copy in front of me, but you want to just say town, Public Works?
No, so you're saying if, after licensing, student will serve as a CDLB driver, but if we state just the driver, then does that say we can't move them somewhere else?
After receiving licensing, student will serve as DPW employee for the town of Ware for a period of no less than 24 months.
I think that covers it.
Well, same thing, we've got somebody at the transfer station. I know technically he's still a DPW employee right now, but just the way it worked out this year. Yeah, same thing, but I guess DPW is paying for it's
Serve
coming out of
under-
your budget,
Mhm.
but it's coming out of the town budget, as a for instance. We hired our part-time handyman to go work part-time down there. What if it had been the other way around? We say, hey, here's this guy, we actually want him to be what if we found a DPW guy to be our full-time building inspector? Are we gonna,
Just say after receiving licensing, student will serve as a town of Ware employee for not,
yeah,
Under the direction
So
of
back
the,
to-
yeah.
You either make it broad or too specific.
under the direction of the DPW
you
head.
just say DPW employee or town employee, one or the other.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think I'm on town. Just leave it town,
Yep.
because it's coming out of the town budget.
Just be an employee, get rid of CDLB.
Yeah, and it's just,
Right,
the intent is, and it may never come up, hopefully it doesn't, but
I just would
I
say
don't
that-
want to punish somebody.
I just would say is, they have to serve as an employee for,
Yeah, so after receiving licensing, a student will serve as an employee
With the
town of Ware.
Yeah.
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 Was there something in there for if he couldn't or wouldn't work for 24 months?
Now, what if for some reason you decided, or somebody decided want to get an A, I mean, does it have to be B? Most likely be B, but can you just say CDL or,
The only thing that we require is a B
right,
at this point, so I think you just leave it to that,
okay,
honestly.
that's fine.
Um,
Yep, that's fine.
If it comes down to the point where we need an A driver, we can, I think,
I don't
discuss it
training,
further,
the
but-
training was different as far as in price and time.
so it is.
Okay,
So,
all right,
a full A is, somewhere up around 10,000.
okay, never mind then, yep.
A B is half of that, and then to upgrade is,
Can you do the same thing with the A is trained
A, you
internally?
can do more as far as driving a truck.
I mean, as far as training
Training.
internally, can that be done, or is it just the B that you can do that?
You can do it all, essentially.
Well, that's
There's,
fine.
But, yeah, so internal training, though, to be able to get that license,
if you wanted to upgrade,
yeah.
you could, yeah.
You go from a B to an A nowadays, do you have to go back to school or can you upgrade that?
You have to do combination and all the other things that come along with switching to a tractor trailer.
You'd have to go back to school.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's my question. If it's more money, then never mind, we'll stick to the B. I didn't know if you wanted to gamble and try it for $5,000, you can try it, but if it's more, double the money, never mind.
Yeah.
We'll just-
Yeah.
you have no need to pay someone $10,000 to do it.
Yeah.
And what if you hire someone intending them to go through training to be a CDLB, but once they get hired on, they refuse to sign this?
Oh, I think you
Sign it before, right?
you sign it before. Like I said, it's gotta be the right person. Obviously, I brought this up to you guys a little while ago, but we did, hire somebody non-CDL a couple weeks ago who plowed with us all winter. I think he's a great example for somebody who did part-time for us in the winter, wants to come on full-time and get his commercial license and stick with us. So I think people like that is the people we gear this towards, not just somebody who's, you know, got zero experience doing any of it and wants to come on and get their license. I think that'll just lead to more of the get their license and leave kind of people. But
When we talked about this, you're also gonna do some kind of, matrix on how much this is gonna cost, and how long it's gonna take, and all that kind of stuff.
so it'd be $5,000 thereabouts. There's a couple companies that won't actually give you pricing without somebody actually signing up and taking a pre-exam. So you've got that much, and then 6 weeks of salary if you're gonna pay somebody to go there. Base $23 an hour. I still am not sure which direction you guys wanna go as far as paying somebody to do it or having them do it on their own time. Cause it would be a during the day thing, so it's not like somebody could work and then go to school at night for it.
Well, that's the trouble you're gonna run into.
Yeah, the last time we just kinda just brought it up briefly, there was a question on whether or not we were gonna do that, so.
So that would, you know, stinks you bring them on board and then lose them for 6 weeks, but what was the right time of year? You'd have them on the weekends in one town or whatever.
Yeah.
Yes,
And I think we had previously talked about maybe there was 4 positions I'd like to fill with this kind of deal, just as a shot in the dark. I mean, you brought that up. I only have one guy that I'd like to do that, and we're filling up positions fairly quick with some solid people, in my opinion, so, I'm not anticipating this being a, you know, every hire thing.
Well, I mean, that's certainly what we do for other departments, or have done, shouldn't say do, haven't in a while, but.
Yeah. Yeah, previous years, there was no need for this, cause you could just go ahead and do it without jumping through
Right.
all the hoops that are needed now, but, it's kinda something that, is necessary nowadays, unfortunately, with all the regulations that have been put in place.
Yeah, well, it is. I'm just saying, you know, more than one other department in the past, we paid people on town time to go to certification training, so. I think you're gonna have a hard time. Somebody can't be out of work 6 weeks, so
Yeah,
they're not gonna go take that. I don't,
I've always been paid to go to training.
It stinks, they've made these regulations, put us in this spot, but it is what it is. We've said it a million times, so. I know
So
anyway.
if we pay them to go to training and to use them on the weekend, now we're paying them overtime to work the weekend?
Yeah, probably.
So just the labor portion of 6 weeks at $24 an hour is $5,760 per employee, so add $5,000 to that for training, you're talking about almost $11K to get a CDL driver. Is that what you expect it to be?
figured it was gonna be pretty close, after paying for school and paying for somebody.
So if you then break that down to them working for 2 additional years, you're basically $2.58 an hour is what it's costing us for 2 years.
Are you suggesting stretch out the
No,
recovery
I'm just
period?
saying that's what it is. I don't know if that's the right answer or not, but
I think that's reasonable.
I think so. Unfortunately, it's just the way things are done now. I think the pay raise that got voted in has helped us immensely. I've told several people that I've hired, I think, 4 positions since that's gone through, so that's helped quite a bit. But I think just because of the situation we're in, this should at least be put on the books, so we have something in place. Like I said, not break it out for everybody, but certain people.
And you would come back if you were gonna actually use it? Like send somebody to training, you'd come back and let us know that? Or?
Yeah, so,
Okay.
like I said, the one person that we hired, I would, if we get this done, I would send him. Like we'd talked about, he was willing to go either way, whether it was gonna be kinda on him, or if, the town would contribute, that would be even better on his part, but, as far as hiring somebody new, if they didn't have a license, that'd be something I'd bring up to you guys at the non-public when we, go through and have an interview.
I might have missed it, but what happens if they don't pass?
That's what I was just looking for.
Thought it was in here somewhere.
I didn't read it, so my apologies. If we had a thing for it.
I thought it was in here.
If it becomes necessary to enforce this agreement, student agrees to pay all costs associated with the action as well as any cost of litigation. Not exactly. That was number 7 on the second page.
Yeah, I don't see anything. Something should be added in there, definitely. Hey, it's pass or fail, right? There's no in between,
Right,
yeah. So you can't base it on a grade scale.
right. And I don't know how the classes are now, but doesn't always, not everybody always passed. The way they used to test anyway, so. It's certainly a possibility, unless the school's different.
Well, then it
I don't know
becomes.
what it costs to retest until you get your license, maybe they just keep taking until you get it, but. If it's $5,000 every time you fail,
That's a,
I don't know those answers.
it's not a policy.
I've never been to tractor trailers. When I did go get my CDL and was there taking it, there was a CDL trainer there, and he was there with a guy that was on his 10th try, so.
Yeah, it's 60
They
weeks.
should have like a 4 times, don't get it after 4, never, you win.
Pay someone for 60 weeks of pay to get their license.
It's like, no, you know, it shouldn't be on the road to the truck.
No.
Yeah, I'll add something in under 4.
Yeah, it's either gotta be a full recoup, or if there's another position that they can fill.
It's just somehow getting our money back, and that's gonna be how you do that. Don't get blood from a rock, so.
I mean, I think it's the same thing, though. It's the exact same thing we're saying if they leave after passing.
Right, but we got them for 2 years though, right, as a CDL driver.
If they pass, right?
Yeah,
They
but
pass, but if they fail, then we don't have them for that position, and we lost our $5,000.
yeah, if they choose to leave, we also have full payment of any balance owed will be required within 60 days of separation.
All right, we'll just mimic that for if you,
Well, it really does say on number 3, after receiving their license, it kind of kicks in, so maybe number 3 is the one that needs to be modified, that the student, upon completion of the course, not after receiving a license.
I guess my concern just
so-
is if he doesn't pass and it's not gonna happen, and I don't know what it costs to redo it, the test or none of that. You know, we don't want a guy that, and I'm sure Jay won't pick somebody that does fail 5 times. We don't want a guy that's 5 times and it's $5,000 every time, and all of a sudden we got, you know. That's my only concern.
Yeah, if it weren't so much money, I'd say, you know, they pay up front and we reimburse, or even a split of, but it's even like a 50/50 is still a lot of money to ask somebody to pay up front.
Right.
Any retakes, we pay at 50% or something like that?
Or like, you pay upon pass. Well, no, because if it were them paying up front, then we'll reimburse you as soon as you pass. So they could take it as many times as they want if they're paying for it. Except then we're also paying for the,
For their time to do it?
yeah.
Yeah, there's gotta be some limit on, us not paying for them labor-wise, doing this over and over and over again. And what happens if they don't pass as far as reimbursement?
And I don't
Would that
think
cover
you
your-
have to take the school over and over again, but I don't know that answer.
No, but
it's
if they've
just a
gotta go-
test, then that's a little easier to swallow than a 6-week course again. I don't think that's how it is, but.
So if you fail the test at the end, that's just your road test or your pre-trip test or whatever it may be. That, after you've completed the school, you get your green card, that you're allowed to go ahead and take the test. So if you pass the school and you get that card and you fail the test, it's as easy as going back to the DMV or rescheduling a test with the state trooper. If you fail the school and you don't get that green card, then that's a different story.
So if you pass the school, you get that card, and you just go back, give them your $20 every time.
Yeah.
So, all right, so I just would put in there, you know, if unable to pass the course, they need to reimburse us somehow.
Yeah.
'Cause if you don't have to retake school every time, that's how it was before. Before there was school, if you failed, you just gave them $20 in the back again. So.
Yep.
And they promised to fail you twice. Coffee was expensive. For at least $40 out of you.
Yeah, I can put that in and come back to you with some.
Anything else on this topic?
I was just gonna say at the top, just say here and refer to as the student, the town of Ware, New Hampshire, here and after refer to as the town, and just where it says town of Ware, every place, just say town. But
I like that.
Okay.
That's all I got.
yeah, I just wrote in what I thought it should read.
Anything else for me?
Yeah.
Gonna need it.
Thanks, Jason.
Yeah. Okay. Acting Chief Rourke, I think you're up next. Fire Department update.
Alright. So start out with, wish Jason would have stayed here. I'd like to thank the Highway Department and Ware PD also, our past storm that we just went through. We operated for about 38 hours with 5 people actually. And in that time, we did roughly about 50 calls for service. We went mutual aid over to Hillsborough for a building fire over there and helped Hillsborough out. But the PD also stepped up a lot, and so did Highway with barricades and everything. So I wanted to say shout out to those guys for for helping out. A lot of damage done in the town, as you know. And I will be talking about that when I get down to the, to give you guys a little brief on the EOC about emergency management. Our current state at the fire department, I recently had 3 employees leave to go to other departments. I still don't have a secretary. That position is still open also. So we're down a considerable amount. Almost half the department is gone. This is going to be a tremendous increase in our overtime budget because there has to be coverage for those people who have left. We have actively been trying to get employees or get some new employees. It's been on the Fire Academy website for about 3 weeks now, and we have had one person who just dropped off a resume, hasn't filled out an application yet, but just dropped off a resume that might have some interest in coming to work with us in the town of Ware. The situation is not good at best. The Fire Academy, if you go on the website, they currently, at least last week, because I had the figures for last week, but the storm came, so it was postponed, but last week there was roughly 50 positions open on the Fire Academy website. Some of those towns, their positions have been open for at least 3 months, if not longer. Those departments pay more than we pay. So that might be a challenge, as I had stated before, with the pay and being competitive and being able to attract people to our department and people who are going to come here and stay. We're utilizing the per diem people as much as we can, and to take up some of that time and also take the load off some of our people, because our employees are working a lot of hours. They're working, over 48 hours a week consistently, week after week after week, and I have to give a shout out to all our employees that are there now. They're doing a bang up job at keeping 2 people in that department and having ALS coverage for medical and fire coverage. So kudos to the crew there. We have recruited some more people on the volunteer side, on the paid call side. We're going through some of the process now to get those people on and get them on the department. Again, budget woes, we get those people on and we have to give them gear and everything, and we're really strapped with that, with the gear. I did talk to our person who sells Globe fire gear, and we came on a different cut of gear that's readily available, and it's a little bit cheaper than having something custom made for somebody and measured up. So that might be a route to go. So we're actively looking, and we'll see what happens. It's on the town website, again, Fire Academy website. Put the feelers out there. But that's what we have. I'm also trying to recruit more per diem people, because the per diem people that we're using now, by state law, they can only work so many hours in the course of the year, and we can use them all the way up the way we're doing now to September, and then we're not going to be able to use them for the rest of the year. It'll have to be somebody else. So we're in the process of trying to reach out until we hire full-time people, and some people start applying. that will reach out to some of our old per diem members in the past who we've had. It's a lot easier transition getting those people because they've worked for the town here before. They know the town, they know the department, everything. So we're continuing to do that. So that's the personnel. Moving on, our new ambulance that we've waited years for is just about done. It came out of the lettering shop the other day, and it was supposed to be delivered probably sometime this week. With this new storm coming on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday type thing, I don't think that that's going to end up being, so I would say probably next week, early next week, we should see the new ambulance here. It will be put in service, but it will run as the second due ambulance for now because we have no radios for it. Radios are due in June, supply chain issues. So we don't have any radios to put in the vehicle. We had got a new utility truck, a new pickup truck, and the body was coming from Donovan Springs. That after a year, that finally arrived. So we should be getting that truck back, I would think, within the next week and a half or so. Again, that truck will go through an upfit and have lighting put in it and everything else, but that radio is on the same order for the ambulance radio, so June 7th is the predicted time for the radios to come in for both of those vehicles. Engine 2, about a month and a half ago, sustained some damage on a call. It was not anything to do with drive or error. Everything was done appropriately. It was just the driveway conditions that caused the engine to slide sideways and basically go down the driveway while hitting a tree.
Everybody okay?
Everyone was seat belted. Everyone's okay. Very low speed. There was really nothing they could do. There was actually the driveway was plowed. The truck had chains on it. They slid going up, so they actually did like a 60-point turn at the top and came down so they could come down. And knowing that the driveway was slippery and it's still everything they did, the truck slid and went into the tree. Primex has come out and they looked at it, and the adjuster looked at it, and the final quote was $23,562 and change. So, parts are gonna take about 8 to 10 weeks, and then the truck will be out of service for about 15 days. And the repair will happen at Lakes Region Fire Apparatus. That's where the truck was bought, and that's actually made the truck. And they're up in West Ossipee. So the truck it's currently in service right now. We managed to get it into service, and the damage that's there really doesn't affect part of it does, because it ended up hitting into the pump. So there's a couple of discharges that are messed up that we can't use, but the truck is still drivable. The rest of it's still usable. So we're using it up until the time that it goes out of service. With that being said, when that truck goes out of service, we are now down to one engine. When we normally have 3, we're down to 1. And again, about 15 days for that. And if you guys want to see a quote, I can either email it or I have it here, if anyone wants to see what they're doing to it or
I'm
whatever.
interested.
What's that?
I'm interested.
Give you guys a copy of it. I have enough here for everybody. And anything more, I can always
Thank you.
email. I don't.
No, it's not.
Thank you.
I've already seen it.
Thanks.
Yeah, this, and I've emailed this to Naomi, I've been in touch with her and Beth and kind of gone back and forth with the insurance adjuster and stuff like that, so everything is on the up and up. The adjuster agreed with all the, everything that had to be done.
And did this have to do with the grade of the driveway or just the fact that it was?
No, it had to do with the grade, absolutely.
It did.
And, I mean, that's, these are one of the things, and I'm not gonna, get off on a tangent about that, but this is why we try to keep the grades of the driveway down when we, when we approve driveways that are at a really steep grade and stuff like that. This is all the considerations that we have, The truck went up the driveway and slid around. They knew it was slippery, and it wasn't like they were going for a smoke detector that was just beeping with nothing. This was actually a smoke in the building call. So people actually had smoke filling up their house. So it was certainly justified that they took the driveway and went up to the house. Absolutely. So absolutely no error on our people.
So we were looking end of July, August before that's complete?
Well, it's been a couple of weeks now already that the apparatus company called the main place where the truck was built and started having parts built for it. Because it doesn't matter, even if it was a body shop down the road, the parts are custom to that truck, and they would have to order them from that company anyways. So as soon as this damage was done and he came out, they sourced back to the number and they started ordering the parts or started getting them into the manufacturing loop per se, to try to cut the time down on it.
So we could be early July then?
Yeah, I would say sometime, yep. And again, the truck is still in service now. We're minus a couple of discharges for hose lines, but the truck is still in service now. Mechanically, it's fine, brakes, tires, all that other stuff, it's fine, all that. This is just all actual body damage and a little bit of damage to the pump that's gonna have to be fixed. Any questions on that? So moving on, the compressor, our air compressor that we use at the south station, that we use to fill our SCBA bottles. That compressor is about 20 years old, and even though we've had maintenance done on it, there was a part on that compressor that finally died. There's good and bad news about that. The good news is the compressor itself that drives the unit is called a Bauer compressor. They're still in business. They're from Germany. The part that has to be replaced is, from what the technician said, possibly could run anywhere $2,800 to $3,000. It's a stainless steel line that comes off, and it's almost looks like the back of your refrigerator coil. And it cools the final stage of the air, which is at 6,000 PSI when it's coming out of the pump. The bad news is that's the only thing that's available. The rest of that compressor was made by Poseidon, a company out of Colchester, Vermont. That company went bankrupt and went out of business. They made compressors for 20, 30 years. And they were very popular. But everything that they made was custom. When they went to go make a compressor, they actually went to the machine shop, they drilled out blocks, valves, everything, and they made everything themselves in-house. All those parts are not available right now. So the gentleman did say, I could put on this $2,800, $3,000 part, and I can guarantee it for 3 minutes, because if something goes on that compressor else besides anything on that pump, whether it be any of the tubing, the valves, anything, it's non-replaceable. You can't replace it. So, I asked, I did not get a solid quote. I said, in the ballpark, what would you call, to take to, buy another compressor or replace the one that we have there, like in kind, right? Not getting anything bigger or anything else like that, pretty much the same thing to replace that. And they estimated in around the $65,000 range to do that. So was checking with Bauer, and naturally the thing is 20 years old. A lot of people don't make parts. He was checking with Bauer in Germany to see if they can even make that piece so we could get back into service. Right now, we do not have a way to fill our air bottles.
Can
We do
you,
have a cascade at the station, but we always filled it with that, because that's the compressor that we fill the truck, then we fill the bottles off the truck, so it was kind of that thing. We don't have any way to do our air bottles now. So when they get low, we could bring them over to Goffstown, or, I know some people in Bedford and stuff like that, so we could bring them over there and get them filled. But that's just a temporary thing to do.
are there any companies that do that as opposed to other stations?
There is, and we can have the bottles, absolutely, we can have the bottles shipped out, or they could come pick them up and fill them, but again, off the top of my head, I do not know that price per bottle.
No, but it's
But
it's
it
an
can be done.
option to
Yep, it
look
can
at.
be done. I would think that our mutual aid partners would be kind of willing to help us out, I'm sure, for the short term of getting stuff done. So I don't see really any problem right off, but this is definitely gonna be something like over the next maybe year or so.
CIP request or something.
What's that?
Maybe new compressor or CIP
Yeah,
request
yeah,
in a
something,
couple of years.
or we were kinda, this came up late to the game, but maybe next year applying for a grant. So through the FEMA grants and stuff, that would be a really good idea to do that. So, the town would have to come up with only 10% of that. So that might be something I may be coming to you guys for, if that's available, and, $6,500 beats 65,000
Yep,
all day long.
yep.
Is this the same basic equipment that you'd use for scuba gear too, right?
It is, yep, same type of thing, same fill station, just different fittings, I think, and stuff like that. But, yes, yep.
It doesn't need any additional certification, does it, for use in this application versus scuba diving?
I have no idea, I don't
I don't either, I just,
yeah, I don't know. I would probably rely on the mutual aid, our mutual aid partners. And just throwing it out there, this even, not that it matters to us here, but it does affect our neighbors in New Boston, because they don't have an air compressor, and they always filled their bottles at our station. So we did that for them, but.
And you've let them know?
Yes, yep. And, again, so I'm sure that in the short term, we can make something work. I'm just trying to get you guys up to speed on some things here.
and you get it up to 6,000 PSI in your bottles, is that what
The tanks that we use to fill our bottles are 6,000 PSI bottles. So we fill the Cascade tanks, and then we fill our bottles off of them.
do you know what the pressure is on the bottles themselves? The
4,500 pounds.
4,500?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Let's see, what else we got here? I guess I'll go right in, just in the essence of time. I could go into, the EOC part. I had a meeting, and we start setting up meetings with, the SAU, head of the SAU 24, Jacqueline Coe. I've set up meetings with her and, a bunch of other people in the town regarding the school as a warming station. This past storm, the It was kind of thrown together at the last minute, but it came through. There was a warming station set up at the middle school. It was open from 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock, so very few short hours. But the school was able to cook up pizza, and it was a place for people to charge their phone, get warm, watch the news, and see what was going on, and contact other people if they had to. I did email Ms. Coe just this afternoon because I was kind of curious of how many people showed up there. And so I don't have that figure for you. We had some people come up to the station to get water. So we did have, there's been some questions that I've been hearing about when do we open up the shelter, right? When is the appropriate time to open up the shelter? Well, the answer to that is when there's a need, when we have a need, when we have people call or they contact the town or stop in or something. Right now, there is no definitive plan, so it's extremely labor intensive for everybody to just say, hey, we're gonna open up a warming shelter, and then everyone's standing around and there's no one there to come to the warming shelter because there's no need for it. I actually had one group of people, elderly couple, who actually needed a place to go because they were without power. And I have the ability, I was in contact with the EOC in Concord for the state EOC with our liaison. And we actually had a place for, if it's just one or two people, it's a lot easier for me to contact my liaison and go through. The Red Cross will usually place those people in a hotel in Concord. So all I have to do is get to Concord and they have a warm place to stay. So that's for the one or two, three people, you know. But again, it's just super labor intensive to operate that, and we're getting there. More meetings are on the way, but we're not there yet as far as the school. So my hat's off to Jacqueline Coe of getting that kind of put together at the last minute, and at least it was open for a couple of hours.
I know when Friday came around, nobody suspected we were gonna be dealing with that all weekend, so.
Yeah, we had, I mean, I haven't seen, you know, I was around for the ice storm back 15 years ago, and this I would say it would be pretty equivalent to that. I saw at least 15 telephone poles, the tops were snapped right off of them, and days later, there were still wires laying around all over the place that when we went to go pick up barricades and stuff like that, so. There's also been talk about, and I have to make contact with the senior center, because a lot of the seniors thought that it would be good to convene there or go there. The problem is they don't have any generator power at the senior center. But you get all the seniors together, they know all the other seniors, they know each other, they know who should be there, who shouldn't be there, and phone numbers and everything else like that, so I'll be reaching out to them to maybe figure something out. I don't know what we can do for a generator or whatever, but, you know, they really want to have us do something, the fire department or the town do something for the seniors there and try to get that. So I don't know who who owns that building, maybe we could talk to them.
Just real quick, if I
Yes,
may,
sir.
for one, you know, for just a small number of people that need something, you know, we have several churches in town, and I'm sure most of those would be more than willing to help out on a small scale.
Absolutely, and just to kind of circle back, which I didn't say, the couple who did need the shelter, when we called them back, to tell them that there's a room in Concord just waiting for you if you need it, you know. They said that they had contacted some other friends or relatives, and they were all set and they didn't need anything, so that ended up being it was a good trial run for me, because I got to talk to our liaison that's meant for us here, and deal with the EOC in Concord and stuff like that. So it was a good trial run for myself too, dealing with that.
Hey, Mark,
Yes,
Greg Smith, that's in the audience, he,
excellent, excellent. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. I have to apologize. I don't even know who it was I talked to. It was one of the ladies called, and she was just really concerned because you guys know everybody there. And like I said, you know who's supposed to be there and who if they don't show up, then we go check on them or whatever, so.
we just mop the floors, so.
Absolutely.
That's my main job, but we can connect afterwards. and I'll
Yeah,
get you in touch with the
absolutely.
right people.
Absolutely. Other than that, that's in the nutshell. So,
Well, I hope this week is much less
I hope so
adventurous than
too.
last.
I plan on, even though I know it's overtime, but it's a safety concern. And believe me, the highway guys are out there doing a bang-up job. But I'm sure we will end up putting on, one, if not two extra people during storm coverage. They run the pickup truck with the plow in front with sand in it. So they'll go in front of the ambulance and if the person's driveway is not plowed out or they'll sand shovel, not the driveway, but plow the driveway, shovel the walkway, sand it so none of our employees get hurt carrying somebody out or walking equipment in or out or whatever. So we're trying to be as safe as we possibly can. Plus, they're the ones we run out and they do all the wires, calls, and trees down and put up barricades, as many as we have, and stuff like that. So we'll be trying to get. We try to utilize the call department for that. A lot of times, people from the call department will go on, but that goes out to everybody. It's just not for the full-time people. It goes out to the call department and sometimes the per diem people too. We're just need bodies, I guess, at this point. So that's really all I got in a nutshell.
Well, thank you.
Questions, comments, concerns? I could give you guys more on the vehicles and the compressor status and whether you think that's a good idea. I don't know. I'll have the answer on that probably in another week or so, but.
And you're gonna actively look into the FEMA grant?
Yeah, and they will, the companies that have these things, which is great, they'll actually help you write it to make sure that it's almost certain that you get it. Because they've done so many of them. They're a little bit competitive, but pretty much I found most of the prices are the same because it comes from a sole source, but when that comes around, absolutely, that will be one of the things that's even talked about in capital area meeting I went to. When it happens next year, there's a bunch of other departments that need SCBA's. And as you know, we got some SCBA's to kind of tide us over for a couple of years. But this would be a good time to possibly go for that, to put all this in one package to get a new SCBA's, get the new air compressor, and a lot of there's at least, I know, 4 or 5 other departments within the capital area that are gonna be using the same air pack as us. So, we could get a lot better purchasing power if, they're gonna be writing a grant for 150 or 200 air packs versus, 30 or whatever, just for us.
Right,
I'll keep you guys, or at least I'll keep Naomi updated on the trucks and everything else like that, and where we stand with that, and when that's going out of service, and I'll make sure that our mutual aid partners are notified about that, and maybe step up our stuff right off on the first bell instead of waiting for it. Questions? Anything? All right. Thank you very much.
Appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you.
Tell everyone at the station thank you, and
What's that?
tell everyone thank you, and
Yes, thank
brace
you.
up. Thank you in advance.
Janice? I'm gonna probably soon go, this will be the last night I get to go to bed for 2 nights if the weatherman's right. Hopefully he's wrong.
Can we
Could we
move
talk
around?
about the fire department?
Yeah, I was gonna say, can we move that around? Can you stay just a
I
little
would
bit?
love to talk about that if you don't mind.
Okay. Any objections?
That was
Because
what?
everything, the other stuff look,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Move the fire department discussion to now, so
Oh, got it.
go get some sleep.
Okay.
Okay. All right, well, we heard from Acting Chief Rourke. We've had several public comments regarding things we might consider to do, such as an advisory committee, that sort of thing. So, just how do we get started with the department integration, and what do we need to do going forward is kind of what I'd like to, either a plan for a plan or a plan. So, I don't know what the answer is.
So, first of all, the RSA that governs all this, 134, is that what I heard? 54, thank you. So, I haven't looked at that. I don't know if anyone here has.
Not today, but, yeah.
no, I haven't.
So, I guess we should familiarize ourselves with that, number one. Did the Board of Fire Wards have charter or anything to review as far as what they did, or?
No, I think I mean, it was done at town meeting years ago and they were governed by the 154, but I don't know that they had a charter.
So it was implemented at a town meeting? Is that
Yeah, it was a
what you-
town vote to
yeah,
have Board of Fire Wards.
Yeah. Then disbanded at a town meeting, but in between,
Right.
Did see a stack of the operating procedures, but that was at the tail end of the previous board.
I think we sent, as part of the integration, there was some that we were gonna, there was
But just at least for
4.
them to see that same information.
Can we get all of the policies, other than those 4?
I would ask all of the policies, like, and I know Rick's sitting here, so Rick, that book was this big. Is that what you're asking for?
I don't know.
That SOGs for the fire department, that was fairly thick?
I'm
Is that
assuming
what you're asking for?
I'm
It's like a
assuming-
3-inch binder.
we have to be familiar with them?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
If you'd like to come up, you can, yeah.
I mean, the chief can attest to this. I mean, it's anything from how we operate the road to what you do on a medical call, depending on if it's anaphylaxis, stuff like that, and there's medical protocols in there and stuff like that. That's the SOGs that Naomi's talking about.
All right, so that's day-to-day activity of your crews.
Yeah.
Correct.
Absolutely.
It's all to do with scheduling time off, because we're unique. We don't work 9 to 5 or 8 to 4 job, work 24-hour shifts, we have a rotation. So, a lot of our stuff, like when it comes to holidays, days off, vacation, it's a lot different than your normal job or your normal description, so all of that was tailored to the fire service.
Can you just explain the structure of the department? You're talking about the rotations. Is everyone full-time, part-time? I understand you are.
So, But
I don't know much about it outside. There's some shiny trucks and,
So, we try to keep them shiny. So the department, right now consists of, the way it sits right now, consists of 8 full-time people.
and there are slots for how many?
and
You have 8 full-time. Is that how many
That's
You
not how
should
many
have?
we have now.
Oh,
We should
okay,
have.
okay.
We should have 8 full-time people.
We have
We're
8
missing
positions.
3.
Got it.
Only
We're
5
missing
are
3
full.
right now, so we only have 5.
And then we have the part-time fire chief.
And then, and I am considered one of those 5 that are left, because I'm still working my shift. So I'm still on the floor, still running calls.
Okay, but if the, if everything was utopia and running as it's supposed to run,
Yep.
you'd have 8 positions, you'd have 1 part-time fire chief.
1 part-time fire chief, an assistant chief, a captain, and 2 lieutenants. That's the structure for.
But those aren't in addition to the,
That's,
it's 8 full-time and a chief.
Correct,
Part-time chief.
the part-time chief is separate,
That's right.
okay? The part-time chief would be separate.
Yes.
And then the rest of the, as far as the full-time, 8 people,
Right.
4 of those would be officers,
Right.
and 1 officer per shift.
Right, that's
So
just what
you
I was
got-
trying to clear up,
Yep,
because for a
yep.
second made it sound like,
Yep,
yes.
so assistant chief would be on 1 shift, a captain would be on 1 shift, and then 2 lieutenants would cover the other 2 shifts. Because we have 4 shifts that rotate, work a 24-hour day and then 3
So if
days
it's the way
off.
it's supposed to be, you have 8 full-timers, a part-time chief, and a part-time secretary.
Correct, yes, yep. Yep,
and you're the secretary, just secretarial duties, or she's actually involved in?
our last secretary that I had, was a advanced EMT. So it's really kind of handy to have that extra set of hands, if we go on a call and the call requires that extra set of hands. It's nice to have that. It's not a hiring prerequisite.
Okay.
It's just bonus if they come through and they have some EMS qualifications. It's great that they do. But that position, I believe, is either 24 or 25 hours a week. And that position went vacant in January.
But for the discussion to move forward with his position, we don't necessarily need that binder of SOPs and have them memorized before we decide we're gonna move forward, right?
No,
think so.
it's all part of information we need, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess I would only want to start with the HR or management-related stuff. I don't necessarily need to see how they're gonna do first aid or that kind of
Right,
thing
I don't think
in
the rest of
detail.
that would
Yeah.
be really.
Yeah, wouldn't be helpful for me to look at
Reading
that.
if you wanna go to sleep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, eventually I'd want to
It's,
read it, but yeah, I
Yeah,
don't,
it's
for
all just
starting,
how-
no.
How we operate on the scene and everything else like that, but yes, I would agree that the administrative, the HR part would be the more concerning part for the board.
I guess a black and white question on the table is if I'm understanding the conversation right, is if we're gonna keep Chief Rourke in his position, or if we're gonna put it through a application process, right? Is that what we're kinda,
That's certainly an option.
those are the 2 options, aren't they? Kinda the
Yeah.
only 2? Yeah.
Well, yeah. Yeah, are there others?
I guess that's how I understood, SAS was my question, that's how I understood what this line was discussion was, or which way we're gonna do. If we're gonna put it out, or whatever terminology you wanna use, or leave it as is. Was my understanding of it, to keep it simple, I guess.
Yeah, so there's 2 pieces to this, the department itself plus the chief. And then you're saying when the chief,
What's the department portion?
well, we need to integrate the department into the town, you know, administratively. And then who fills the chief, or how do we fill the chief?
Right. I guess I pre-assumed, that once we took over, I thought it'd be like every other chain of command, they would report to the chief, chief would report Naomi, and then to us. They're no different than anybody else, are they, now?
No, but like our personnel policy doesn't have their overtime or their scheduling or that sort of thing integrated into it.
Right,
Yeah, that's what I mean by the department integration.
yeah.
So a couple people from public comment and emails have suggested that we have an advisory committee look at this outside of us or with our participation or not. Does anybody have any thoughts on that, or do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, we can, I guess, that's the place to start.
The advisory committee for the department or just for the chief?
It really sounded like it was overall, was the recommendation, but, you know, I'm not
I guess the department wise, I didn't know anything was up for change on that, I guess, with how it's structured. 'Cause the towns voted on that. That's,
I'm not sure that the structure is the question, but
Right.
it's understanding
Yeah.
our position in that structure.
I guess I don't know why it'd be any different than any other department.
I don't know, it's RSA 154, similar to whatever the police department is, I don't know. Ricky's got a hand up.
So this goes back to the when I was a board member, is that the way that article was crafted, I believe, we'd have to go back to the ballot, but I believe it went to, that the fire chief was appointed by the board of selectmen, and then the selectmen, the firefighters were hired by the select board as well, to be in line with the other departments, as this board has acted. Before I departed the board, we accepted what Chief Warwick was just talking about as far as the overtime and the time off, et cetera, and that was all forwarded to the employees. So that, to me, has already been accepted by this board and forwarded back to the department members. I think that's pretty clear already. If you guys want to review it and revamp it, that's obviously your
No, I don't
prerogative,
think so, but we do need to get a common set of policies and procedures at the end of this.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And, Mr. Pratt, there was two other, branches of the department too. There's the per diems, the part-time staff that Chief Work was talking about, and then the call members, and I'm a call member, so.
Does that answer your question?
My question?
Yeah.
As far as the structure of the department?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
If there were any kind of advisory committee or anything, I would not want it to be permanent.
Oh, no.
I think it should just be a transition kind of thing and definitely put a date on it. I guess kind of like this bridge thing, it did not last very long. But it did let us not get bogged down in all the little minutia. That said, I don't know.
But just one sec. What would we want them to do if we got an advisory committee?
Yeah, that's,
And just to have one, but
Exactly.
what are we gonna have them do?
I think that's where we're stuck right now is what action items do we even have? Ben just listed one. And ask the question, do we even have any other ones? If we do, then,
I didn't, yeah, I guess maybe I just had blinders on. I didn't think there really was any other, we need to learn the fire department, I suppose, and, as far as, and maybe there's a vote we need to do to accept the policies they have in place or whatever, but I mean, as far as payroll and overtime and full-time and per diem, I mean, that's all been in the system for years. They get their checks now, so I don't know.
Okay, so what was the role of the Board of Fire Wards?
Well, that was.
That's the question.
That was gonna be, that was just gonna be a comment that I had. I mean, I get an advisory committee, but you just eliminated that. You had the Board of Fire Wards that was there advising and everything. I guess my feeling is where there was this disconnect with the transition of the board of fire wards and you, I don't know if, maybe there's either getting a hold of all the minutes, from the board of fire wards, or talking to the chair, talking to Steve Roberts in a session with you guys, that he could pass on some things to kind of bring you guys up to speed, or if he's even willing to do that. I don't know, he was moving out of
What-
state as far as I
We
know.
did try that, in all fairness, in our defense. We did make a specific request to him about that.
So what in your opinion is the difference of you going to the Board of Fire Wards or you coming to the Board of Selectmen?
Absolutely none.
So you.
For me, the transition is not, because if anything, I'm probably gonna be talking to Naomi more and not giving you guys the long report that I would normally give the Board of Fire Wards. And I think I actually showed you guys the report of what I used to do for the Board of Fire Wards. I think you guys would be sleeping by the time I got done doing that. But that's what they wanted, and that's what they were accustomed to, so that's what that was their job, I think moving forward, day-to-day stuff, if there's a problem that comes up, my first point of contact is Naomi. If it's anything super huge, then it would end up coming to you guys. And as far as, I agree, that, a handful of the policies and procedures and stuff, is more geared on that HR side and really not, which I think when you really dive into it, it's not gonna be huge and it's not gonna be that complicated, to be honest with you. And the rest of the stuff, again, is our day-to-day, how we check trucks or approach a fire scene or whatever, we do vacations or sick time, that kind of stuff you could take a look at and try to see where you guys can integrate that. It's definitely gonna have to be, we can't be in line with highway, we can't be in line with the PD. There's a lot of things that are gonna have to be separate for our side because of our unique schedule. Like when someone takes a day off, I take a vacation day, I'm taking 24 hours worth of vacation time.
Well,
You know?
each department,
So-
typically, there's the town policy, and each department kind of has their own. I mean,
Right,
Little
right,
supplements.
I'm
It's all
sure
we would-
little things
all
here
we
and
would
there, and
do-
it'll be the same for
I
us.
think all we would do is review and adopt your policies, or if we don't like one, we can talk to you and change it, but as far as that goes, I don't see, I understand
Again,
everybody's hours are different,
yeah, I mean,
overtime's
I
different. It's-
agree with you, I don't really think in the grand scheme of things is gonna be, yeah, the binder's huge, but I think that really, that's not gonna be that difficult for you guys to go through that and peruse that and see if you wanna make any changes or suggest stuff or whatever, how you wanna proceed with that.
So the 4 policies that we have seen, are those the only ones?
I don't know what
That are
policies
HR.
Those had to
you've
do
seen
with
or-
just payroll and personnel and vacation
Right,
time, that's all
right,
I
are those
was
the
asked to
4
get.
that were HR related?
Those are the ones you're gonna integrate at some point with your personnel policy. Those
Okay.
are the only 4 that I was asked to do.
Okay. So then that's what we think at this point, without knowing anything different, that's the
Without
meat
looking
of.
through the book,
yeah.
I've never looked
Yeah,
at
like
it.
That's probably the meat
holiday,
of it.
all holiday time, we still do the same as the town
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that, as far as our holiday time payoff, and stuff like that, so.
I guess leads back to we want advisory committee or not, right? Was the question you asked, I guess.
Yeah. And it's been brought up by residents, so I think we.
My opinion on advisory committees for things like this is you get 2 people. You get ones that may have an interest, but don't know anything about the department, which isn't really any more useful than
Than
us. And you may get current or past members that have a strong feeling one side or the other, and I don't know if that's unbiased. I think you want unbiased, and if you just reach out in the crowd to get 5 unbiased people, they ain't gonna know any more than us 5. And it'll be 6 weeks later with the, I'm not
Back
sure
in-
what we gotta
Back in
do.
square one, yeah.
I think that's kinda unfair to Not saying we need to make the decision tonight, suggesting we should make the decision tonight, but at least have a good idea for, and I might be jumped ahead too much, it's still in my mind if we're gonna consider Chief Rourke as the not assistant, I'm sorry, as the part-time chief, or we're gonna put it out and ask for applications. I kinda think that was a question that was brought to us by the chief, I guess is how I took his question when he came up and asked what we were doing.
I think is, it's sort of, do we defer to the past actions of the Board of Fire Wards?
Right.
Or do we do some amount of our own due diligence? So I guess where I'm kind of leaning, and we have an opportunity to affirm, their suggestion. And we can say, okay, if we were to hire, if we were to put it out, what would we be looking for? Great, and not necessarily like go through that entire process, but say, and this is where I think the information gathering is important. What do we need from that role? And then, I guess, I hate to say it, but something like a job description. We know how those can bog down, but avoid that somehow. And then say, okay, does the person we have meet our job description? If so, great, we're done. If not, then we put it out.
Come on. Appreciate the two-way dialogue.
I just, thinking about this, again, I just go back and you're trying to come up with non-biased people. You're trying to come up with, like, Selectman Knapp said, you have people who don't know anything about the fire service. Again, the town spent $60,000 on MRI to do a process, and they went through that process. It's a third party. They have no dog in the fight. I would say if you're gonna do anything, my recommendation is to maybe reach out to MRI and talk to someone at MRI and find out what they did for a process and how they came about selecting me. And then that way there, you guys could have a better understanding of how detailed and how, like, down to the dirt that they went through to do this, to do this whole process. And you're describing what you guys are trying to do is what MRI already did and the town already paid for. So, that's-
That makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. Talk to MRI.
I know the answer to the question, maybe can I ask anyway? The Board of Selectmen voted, or the Board of Fire Wards voted to hire MRI?
It was done through the fire wards.
They-
It was when they were still active.
It was done through them, but did it have to come to this board for permission to spend the money to go?
No, they went and spent it from their salary line for the chief that they didn't have.
Okay.
Why wouldn't that come through here? Wasn't that like 30,000? How much was that?
Well, it started out as 5, and then 5 turned to 13. And then the hiring of the gentleman that we paid $55,000 to be the interim was hired by the Board of Fire Wards. Never came here.
We swore him in, though.
Say that again?
We swore him in.
Yeah, you
Yes.
guys swore him in.
You guys swore him in, Chris Olson.
Recognize, Rick?
Oh, I'm sorry. Come on up.
So two things, yeah, one, when I first got on the board, that was one of the things, I had come from the Board of Fireworks, so I came to Board of Selectmen, and that was one of the things that I thought, and the town had said was, that the fireworks should have fiscal responsibility of the fire department, and they got it. So that, to answer your question, then, that kind of pushed over into them. I did find the article, from the vote on March 14th, 2023, it was Article 20. It passed 483 to no 272. Shall the town vote to disband the Board of Fire Wards and return control of the fire department back to the Board of Selectmen as to be governed in description of NHRSA 154-1, parentheses B, a fire chief appointed by the local governing body or by the town or city manager, if any, with firefighters appointed by the local governing body or manager upon recommendation of the fire chief.
Thank you. Thoughts, James?
Lots. I don't know how much of them are useful. I think we do,
Sorry.
you know,
I was just gonna, I'm sorry. So someone mentioned, can we get the,
From MRI?
yeah,
we can certainly talk to them. I do think we were, at least I'm maybe a little bit confused on is the advisory board or what a committee that we come up with, that would simply be strictly for the integration and coming up with our procedures for getting the fire department.
We really hadn't said anything, I mean.
Right,
if-
versus-
I'd like to know what they're gonna do before I agree to
Well,
do anything, yeah.
Understood, but, right, but that was one of the questions, getting an advisory board, you know, somebody, additional advisors to assist us in getting this new department up and running versus
It's not a new department, it's just a new to us department, just for complete,
Understood.
you know, for someone that might not know
So,
out
a
there.
new, right, getting it under our, you know, umbrella. Versus, you know, versus a completely separate discussion of what to do with our fire chief. And that, I don't think requires a advisory committee of any sort. I think that's a decision that we can, you know, that we can talk about.
To me, neither one does. I mean, I think all their procedures, they've been gone over by multiple chiefs and MRI and, I don't know, again, bunch of, I don't know, we need to bail right in and change it. If we see something come across our table, you know, 6 months from now, say, hey, that don't really match everything else, and we can come in and discuss it, but I don't know.
yeah, the reality of the situation is we're not gonna change.
Right, we don't need to jump
Hardly
into that with a committee and say, let's review their SOPs, I don't think. Nor
Right.
do I really agree with you, think we need one to decide what to do with the chief, so. I don't really think we need one either way, I guess.
I'm,
Not hearing a lot of support for an advisory committee. You have any different thoughts?
No, you know, advisory committees can be good,
Yes,
but I think we're in a situation where we're not 3 months before this is happening, we're both feet in the water. You know, what's an advisory committee, just gonna push us down the road 3 months before we make any decisions? I mean,
so I would,
sink or swim at this point.
I would say that relying upon our fire chief and our other personnel that are already there and are very intimate with everything that's going on there, can
They're-
certainly be advising us, and I would expect them to be advising us on
In
how
my
we move
world, they're the
forward.
shop floor, and they know the best for what's going on in their department, and they can instruct us better than anyone that doesn't know them. That's my opinion.
Anything to add,
Nope.
other than it's 10 o'clock?
Still got 1, 2,
I know,
3,
we're all gonna
4,
turn into
5, 6,
pumpkin
7, 8,
soon.
9 things on the agenda.
you know, I guess whatever you guys wanna do to move forward, my hang-up is we're questioning about going forward with everything that, if you wanna call it, handed to us by the Board of Fire Wards, except one item. I mean, we're taking the current employees and the current SOPs and everything else, but we're gonna question one item. I guess I question how come. I think there was some i's not dotted and t's not crossed. Maybe we didn't do a good enough job trying to work with the Board of Fire Wards. I certainly thought we invited and tried. But it was a mess, and we had lots of other things going on in our business too, so whatever reason, chief says water over the dam doesn't matter now, but why are we hung up on this one?
So what's your thought on going and looking at the MRI stuff before we?
Yeah, I'm okay with
Before
that.
we
I'm
make a
fine.
decision that would
I'm fine with that, I'm fine with reading somebody else's
His
research.
retirement.
I'm fine with reading someone else's research, there's no harm in that, and, I would certainly think whether we keep it in place or put it out and hire somebody that, you know, we would be a performance evaluation after a certain amount of time like we did everybody else, but he hasn't, I don't believe we gave him one, right?
No,
So,
no.
if that were to happen, it was him or someone else, we would probably let it go at 3-4 months and give him one. I mean, even though it's kinda halfway through the year, everybody else got one.
Right.
That would be my suggestion. That way we can say that we are kinda keeping our eye on it now, we finally have a pulse of it and say, oh, he's doing good, or he needs to fix these things, or.
Did the Board of Fire Wards offer you any kind of review at any point? End of year, end of term, anything?
No,
Okay.
no.
I'm not asking for any
because,
details, but
no,
just,
no,
you know,
no,
a yes or no.
No, they didn't.
Okay.
And then everything was kind of, again, up in the air as far as whether the full-time chief or part-time chief or, you know, so really everything was kind of up in the air. So nothing really
Would-
got, nothing got done.
Everybody like to look in MRIs and then we discuss what we would,
I don't think it's a horrible idea.
I know he's on the, you know, up in the air wanting to know, and I know that many people in the
I would-
department
I would
want a
like to be able
direction.
to tell him, yeah.
Want to know who their boss is gonna be, so I think it's only fair we
Do we want to set a date to make a decision?
could be helpful.
Yeah, do you think
Because-
we can get the MRI stuff fairly quickly?
Yeah, I'll do it
They'll
Wednesday
release it to
morning.
us?
Yeah.
I mean, it's our data, correct?
Yeah, it
Okay.
is ours.
All right.
And then after we
Couple
get
weeks,
it,
you think?
a week,
I'm sorry?
I just was kinda talking with him.
Oh, okay.
He said, was it?
2 weeks from
couple
today,
weeks, yeah.
we can at least offer Mark where we're headed.
How long do you
If we
think you
get
guys
the
wanna-
information.
I think it's very reasonable.
I would request a couple weeks, cause I might not have any time to read this week.
Read while you
Sorry,
drive.
So, if we're gonna review it, I mean, for me to review it, I don't know if I'll have it reviewed by Monday is all I'm saying. So, I definitely will make sure I have time before the following Monday.
So, say the April 15th, the following Monday.
It's 2 weeks from tonight.
Does that work?
Yep.
Okay.
Does that help a little? You got some sort of a timeline?
It's light at the end of the tunnel.
It's not a train.
Could be.
Might be that water cooler out there. That's about the only thing I hear. Yeah. Okay,
There's nothing up at 10 o'clock at night, except for radio.
13 people.
huh, 13 people.
13 people still watching.
Yeah,
Gosh,
Thank you, 13 people.
Mark, you pulled the crowd in. Thank you.
yeah.
that's all I
was
really need a
58.
hobby.
Or people care, that's
Well,
good.
that's good. I'm
Yeah.
just teasing.
Okay. Be safe out there.
Yes, thank you. Hopefully it was an April Fool's joke, we can just all swear at weathermen.
It's not looking
It's
like
not looking like it, not when I left the house earlier this evening.
All right, thank you. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you, Mark.
Good night.
Take care, be safe. Thank you so much. I'll be in touch
Okay.
with you.
Do you think we can get the building inspector done so we can get that thing posted?
Sure.
All right, James, take it away.
I was gonna make a motion to accept it as written. Jump straight to the discussion. I thought it was good.
Thank you.
I thought it was great. It captured, I think, almost everything that we talked about, other than attending the planning board and ZBA meetings. If that's in here, I missed it.
Oh, well, let's see, we have provided information to the ZBA. I should probably
Yeah, I think
change.
we said we wanted them to actually attend. You know, I'm sure there'll be times when they don't get there, but as a general course, get them there, he or she. And under essential duties, the third from the bottom, it has select board in there. We said to strike select board, the first one,
Oh,
not the second one.
okay. So we want attend. Zoning and planning.
they're two different sets of meetings, planning board and ZBA board, or ZBA meetings.
Yes.
Zoning Board of Appeals.
Which are you saying to remove? The complaint?
Coordinate town council health over select
Oh,
board.
got it, yeah.
That one, we said to get that one out. That's, we did want them to attend, correct?
I was in one of the old ones, yes.
Yeah, okay.
I must have missed that.
Anything else?
Nope,
So-
I was, oh, on the 2-year technical, I would probably say 2-year technical course in architectural engineering or other engineering discipline.
Or,
It is kind of niche.
Yeah.
or other engineering.
Discipline, yeah.
Discipline.
So 2-year technical course in architectural engineering or other discipline.
Or other engineering
Engineering
discipline.
Other
Yeah,
engineering,
yeah.
other
Because they could come in with basket weaving and,
Right, well, well,
Is the
Well, that's
essential
important.
duties gonna be the planning and zoning meetings? Is that what you're gonna add that one?
yeah.
Okay.
Good to go? Good to go?
I thought it was good with
Yeah.
all the chicken scratch
Yeah.
we had, so.
I was trying to split out some of the knowledge and skills and things to make them in individual bullet
Yeah,
points and not
no, looks good.
the paragraphs that they were.
So I think we had 3 changes then. Right? Did you get those? Okay. Good to go with those 3?
Yep.
So she can make those and then post the
Is this all right then, to do this?
advertisement?
I just had one thing, so at the, throughout the town to ensure the safety of life and property, and then, comma, as well as, inspecting and or enforcing compliance with state and local codes.
Gotta hand that to her.
Yeah, if you can,
Should that be the same as the job summary or not necessarily? Okay.
Doesn't have
ensure the
to be.
safety of life and property,
I mean,
and then comma as well
kind
as.
of tracks, but it
Similar
doesn't need to be
wording.
the same, yeah.
Less is, so with that change, are we good to make it in post?
Make a
Do
motion.
we need a motion for that?
Couldn't hurt. I'll move that we accept the building inspector job description as written by Selectman Drury and amended moments ago.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Can I change that to just add code enforcement? Which building inspector / code enforcement?
To edit it where?
Building
Oh,
inspector
sure,
/
okay.
code
In the
enforcement.
actual motion, yeah. Okay.
Are you okay with that change? Is
I
there a
am okay
second?
with that.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? Yes?
Yes.
All right, 4-0. You're good to go, Naomi. Go forth and hire. Or at least get candidates. Okay, can we do priorities and then call it a night, other than the manifest? Or,
Is the
Maybe the
Board of Selectmen policy? Do we have?
we could talk about that real quick. I took the old policy that we had, I updated it for the hours, the summer schedule, giving flexibility instead of specific details. You know, we meet at 6:30 or as posted in the official meeting notice, that sort of thing. I did add information about the public comment. The last sentence in that paragraph says that we encourage civil dialogue. I probably need to break those into 2, because those 2 things are not dependent on each other. The disruptive and abusive behavior would be like if someone's in the audience and starts screaming, yelling, and throwing things, not trying to restrict what someone can say. So move those apart into two sentences. I took a guess on where we post these things. I know we don't post them in all the places that were listed in the old policy, so,
Yeah, we post them here, the post office, and on the website.
okay. So add post office. And I wasn't sure what to call the boards that, other than, to me, I called them subordinate boards just to get something out to show that it wasn't this board. So if you have better wording on that, let me know. Also tried to see if we could pull back the posting of the agenda to 48 hours instead of 24. 24 is the law, but try and get it out in 48, just so it's not over the weekend and people trying to scramble in and see what we're doing for Monday.
Well, if I have to use the post office, I have to put it out by Friday. Anyway, but I can put it out by Thursday, that's fine.
Yeah, just gives people more time to prepare.
Sure.
And then I added the information about vacancies, if this board has a vacancy. I tried to take all the input that I know that was received for when I was appointed and craft that into some guidelines. We will still follow RSA 669 and the appropriate sections of that, with the following guidelines for how we operate to do that. Providing timely notification of the vacancy to the citizens of Ware by posting it on the website and the subscription notice. We could also put the post office in there if we wanted to just use the same things as how we
Just
post our
urgent, you can just
agendas.
say- Yeah, say posted to the same locations as its
As
meeting
agenda.
agendas.
And then we'll establish a timeline for filling the vacancy, including a deadline for receiving interest submissions from anywhere citizen wishing to be considered for the appointment. And I just arbitrarily picked something. I know we've got a timeline where we have to make a decision, so I picked 72 hours just to put something in there. That's 4 business days, but we could do longer than that. I mean, we were technically could probably go as far as 10 days and still be compliant with the law and making a decision, so one thing to
I
consider.
think it's 45 days.
Yeah, but I'm saying we could even
Yeah.
extend the 72 hours out to 10 days and still be fully compliant with making a
Sure.
decision
Yeah.
in
Yeah, because
compliance
that
with the
was-
law.
Because that was the window that it will be left open for submissions, not.
Right.
We will be making a
No,
decision
this
within
is-
72 hours.
This is how long
Yeah,
people
just-
will have it out there to say, I would like to be considered. So,
Just wanted to
yeah.
clarify that for everybody listening.
And then asking them to submit their interest to the board and town administrator via email by the posted deadline. And at a minimum, give us your name, your address, your contact information, why you're interested, and a summary of your qualifications. And just reminding everybody that once you do that, it will be subject to 91A. And all discussions related to the fulfillment of the vacancy shall be in public meetings. This includes, but is not limited to, the names of the persons submitting interest, discussions about qualification, interviews, and final appointment selection, deliberation, and voting. And we all have been in contact with citizens who say, hey, if X ever comes up, don't forget about calling me. You know, I'd be interested, so make sure I know about it. This doesn't preclude us from saying, hey, you said before you might be interested, it's been posted. So,
Yep. And really, yeah, spread the word.
yeah, so. So, I don't know if you guys want some time to look at all and come back and talk about this again. We really haven't talked about it publicly for the public to be able to make some comments, so I'd really not want to finalize it tonight, even if you're okay with it. So, maybe bring this back up in a meeting or two.
Yep.
Okay.
Can I go backwards just a little bit?
Sure.
On the, it's actually on the building inspector, the job posting. Are we paying them an hourly rate or are we paying them an annual salary?
We talked about that last time, and I think we decided it was definitely an hourly rate for 40 hours a week.
The only thing you're gonna run into bringing them back at night is going to either, with a default budget year, we didn't budget for overtime. So if he stays here he or she stays here 4 hours at night,
And that's exactly why I bring it
or
up.
it's
Right.
4
I'd
hours
rather
gone
post it
through the
salary
week.
But the last,
And make it a
I thought we did talk about it
No, we
last
did,
time.
actually, we did, yeah.
And
And we
it
said that
would
the
be
salary
salaried, but it
would,
worked out to
yeah.
the
Yeah,
right
it
amount.
was based on the hour, but if you wanna do salary,
I just
the
think
posting.
it should be posted as
Yeah.
the salary, and they will get paid that regardless if they have to come in for meetings and,
so you wanna change it to a year? Like what it is a
Annual.
year, basically?
yep.
I think so.
Yeah, good catch. We did talk about that.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry.
All right. Keep on moving on or manifest and go home?
Is there anything critical from the administrator's report?
I just provided you with, you did your job. I'd like to have you award the cemetery mapping. The gentleman is still interested, that's been hanging around for $2,500. And now that we've got the money, I do have an email from him that he's interested, if you would be so kind to award it to him, so he
And-
could get started.
We did an RFP and he was the only response.
No, you got a company from Georgia.
Yeah, I'd say, so normally I'm pretty hesitant on like signing stuff,
Same day.
but I remember this very well, and this is absolutely what we said we would do. It
Okay.
was just waiting for the Mildred Hall money to come
Right.
through. I mean, I didn't mean to interrupt, Amy was already saying it, there was another company from Georgia that said they'd be doing satellite images, and somehow they'd come up occasionally and do it, and it didn't, the price that they quoted did not make sense versus a local guy who was kind of interested and willing to do it, and would have kind of better oversight. I mean, it was,
This is the gentleman that has said he would do it, and I reached out, and he's still interested for that. He'd like to get started, which all we were waiting for was funding. And I just, if you can let me just finish, so, we did the engineering, you did the inspector, you did the mapping. Just wanted you to know I re-advertised for the sexton. I also took a stab at providing you, 2024 warrant articles, kind of what we do from here, and each one, committees and updates and listing, Janice and I started that. That's just I haven't finished gathering the information on that list, but that's from A to Z of all even the committees that don't have people. But I provided that all to you this evening. It's this one here, that's 2 pages. I just started out with but the idea of doing this was, with Janice, was we have reappointments to make, and she wanted to know how many could be added, and kind of the dynamic of what you have right there, Dave. But I went through top to bottom from cable all the way to zoning, and in gray, is the name of but there's a lot of them that don't have any information. There are bylaws, though, so we could look at agricultural, it was one that had bylaws, Heritage had one, and I'm sure the makeup of the composition is there, so we could add that to the next time. I just wanted to get it started for you. But that does lead to a bigger discussion as to how many and when are we gonna reappoint.
Yeah, so
That's not for
I
tonight.
guess we'll spend a moment there. The town clerk is the legal keeper of most of the records. There's some legal documents that, set that there so we can make that motion. So I met with Maureen after my appointment last year, and she indicated that she had some policies, guidelines, codes, and things that were not on the web. And then we had the December right to know that brought forward the one that we had on a really old purchasing policy that had contradictions in it with this board reviewed and formally retired that in February, even though it probably was superseded, but took the formal action to get it off the books. So the same intent there. Last Friday, I came in and started looking at her records to see what she had versus what was in the policy books that we have and what's on the web. And I got about a third of the way through with just a preliminary look of what's in her binders. So I looked at 18. And then from those 18, I went and started a deeper dive. Well, one of the 18, the first 3 that I looked at, it was one of the 3, and it had to do with policy for, boards, committees, and commissions, and it was generated in 2012, July 2012, and I read through it, and I'm like, well, this is exactly what we probably should be doing. It actually looks pretty good.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, maybe we find some other gems. So the other piece of this is the warrant article number 25, which said we should do some kind of study. We possibly could make some amendments if the study that we do in the future turns out to need us to amend this in some way. We could certainly do that in the future. But I think for where we're at today, not having that study done and needing to go forward with some appointments, this is a pretty good place to start.
I agree.
One thing it does have in there is that there will be a public notice of committee seats that are being appointed, posted in at least 2 public places. It does not give us any indication as to the duration of that posting, but if we move forward with a posting, we probably are not appointing anybody next week. So, thoughts?
How long do we want to keep the posting up? I know it's not on here, but
Yeah, I think it needs to be more than a couple days.
I agree.
The snow's tough. Normally I'd say a week, let people, but then if we get knocked out for 2, 3, 4 days, and that wasn't actually a week.
Right.
So maybe just,
weeks?
maybe call it 2 weeks just to be safe.
Yep, I agree.
So by end of, what's Friday, the 12th?
Yeah.
That work? That's
Sure.
almost 2 full
So your
weeks.
deadline would be by April 12th?
Yeah, or the 13th or something. I mean, they could do it over the weekend and we can have it Monday, but
Yeah.
and then if we get anything new, that would be a great problem to have. Because we actually have a lot of positions that don't have anybody interested in them. So which ones do we want to go out and ask for? Everything that we know about on the active commissions, or also include the commissions that are not currently staffed? And by commissions, I mean commissions, boards, committees, using that term generically.
I think some of them are totally defunct, like,
Well, so we get, yeah, but you get the Heritage Commission.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Do we want to go out for those now, or we can always go out for them later? Nothing says we can only do this once a year. We need to, the active boards, in my opinion, we need to go ahead and
Yep.
and get done now because they are waiting on us. So at a minimum, I would say send those out.
yeah, maybe just start there.
Okay. Good with that?
So the active.
With just the,
The active ones.
why not push further and see if we can, get one of these back up and running? The Heritage Commission is something that's mentioned in most RSAs, isn't it? So I think they're, I don't know
That's a
much
good
about
point,
it.
which, that maybe the broader question is, are there others that are statutory?
Well, yes, yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
And if so, then are they required to exist? Are they not required?
If we have bylaws, does that mean it was a statutory?
No, it just means at one time there was a group.
Oh,
It
so a
says- it says,
subcommittee of
yeah,
the planning
It
board.
says the selectmen shall appoint a Ware Heritage Commission comprised of 5 members. Membership on the commission shall be as follows. Each member or alternate shall be a resident of Ware. 1 member shall be a selectman to act as an ex officio. Not more than 1 member may be of the planning board. 1 resident of each historic district is encouraged. So.
And we have how many historic districts? 4 or 5?
Clinton Grove, Mount Dearborn. I'd have to look that up, but I think there's maybe 2
A
or 3.
handful-ish.
So
Okay.
if you're gonna have a 5-member board,
Which one was that for?
that's
Sorry.
for the
Heritage.
heritage, yeah.
Do we want to post at least
And
that?
it was actually done by, it was established by the voters of town meeting, March 14th, 2006, warrant article 41.
Okay, well then we probably ought to post that one,
Because
in my opinion.
the study is to see what the interest is, right?
Well,
on,
this really isn't directly related to the study.
but it's a portion of,
Yeah, sort of, yeah.
so turnout is a big part of that study, I think.
Yeah. Add heritage.
That's heritage, so add heritage.
And obviously, we don't advertise anything for the finance committee because we don't
No.
appoint that.
No.
Okay.
And Janice, you asked, the conservation did nominate, and after their meeting, a chair and vice chair. It was at their last meeting.
Okay, good.
I think the agricultural commission too was done by town meeting. The agricultural was established by the voters of Ware, March 11, 2008, warrant article number 28, pursuant to RSA 673:1, Roman number 2.
Okay, so
That is,
add that one too.
that again is 5 members.
If we don't get any interest, do we put on the article for next year to remove them? Or disband them?
Definitely something we should talk about. Think that would
Add
be
the
a
active
logical
com-
next step,
Makes sense.
if we decide that there's,
So in the posting that you're looking for, you want the active committees and add the agricultural and the heritage to the ad as well.
yeah.
I would
And-
say so if they were voted on.
Yeah, they were.
Were those the only two voted on?
Well, that's a
The
good
only
question.
two inactive ones?
Those are the only 2 that I found, yeah. That are inactive at the moment.
Yep.
They have a nice little brochure on the website too. But I couldn't find any more economic development. There's nothing, even on the website. I knew that was part of business people before, years ago, but I don't know the makeup without diving deeper into. I couldn't even find any minutes. Some of them have minutes in 13, 19, 17, like the noise ordinance and things like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think there may be a little more interest in a noise ordinance.
Well,
Coming
we
up,
did,
but-
we did have sent that to town vote several times, most recently, I think, year before last, and people have voted it down, so. I don't know that we need to keep a subcommittee for things that the people have told us they don't want. So that might be one we talk about actually getting rid of as well.
All right, so I'll post on 2 public
That's at the
places,
top of my
the
list
seat
that we should
openings
strike.
for all the active committees as well as the Heritage and the Agricultural Commission.
Yep, and not finance.
No, finance
Yep.
has nothing to do with us. Finance is, the moderator does it only.
Yep. Good on that for now?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're gonna hold on these then until we get 2 weeks?
Yep.
Gotcha. I think I passed down that gentleman's name for mapping. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
everyone okay?
yeah, we need a motion for this.
Yeah, I know, I said I'm good with it. It is gonna snow, so it's not like it's gonna start this week if anybody, I didn't wanna
If
ram
you want me
this
to,
through.
would you like me to
Like-
send it all to you? I mean, you're right, it's gonna snow, we aren't gonna get started yet. It's up to you.
Like, I'm confident this is what we said we were gonna do, but
You
I don't
guys
wanna-
haven't had any exposure to this, do you want more time?
I can also share with you, if you guys want, what was sent to us for Georgia. I mean, I have it right here.
I do remember that, now that you
That
pulled
came,
that up.
Why don't you send it, and
Okay.
then we can
Okay.
move it to next week.
Thank you. So other than that, I tried to come up with a different way of I just took the old stuff and put it on there. In a way of trying to track date-wise, because it was all over the map before.
Okay, and then is there any of this that's just worth, like joint loss management, asbestos removal,
Yeah.
jump out? Because I think they've been on the entire time.
They have
I've been
been.
here.
Now that we, Beth came up with all the names, and they're just trying to connect as far as what date's gonna work. It happens during the day because it's half employees, mostly, it's half and half, department heads and staff. So she's trying, you're supposed to have one from fire, one from police, one from DPW, one from transfer station. So to try to get anybody on the same page has been a little difficult. But they're supposed to meet at least quarterly to go over any incidents that we have. So,
Who's that? Sorry. I
the
missed
joint
that.
loss management, I'm sorry, right at the top, that's been on there for a long time, as Salem said.
And I guess maybe the question is there any benefit to keeping it there, that and the asbestos?
Well, I mean,
It's-
it's something we have to do, because as you have an incident, with whether it be a safety issue, workers' comp, an accident that happened, was there something that the committee looks at the accident report and sees that there's something could have been done differently and makes a recommendation? Primex makes us meet quarterly, as far as part of our insurance, as
Yeah,
far
I
as our
thought it
plans.
was a reason we have to have it.
Maybe what I'm really getting at is like another bucket. So like, these are newest things. But of the old things, which one, maybe it's, new update, like, or highlight, or just something to
Okay.
call out.
Sure.
These are old, but they have an update.
Okay.
I don't, because other than that, like, I'm just skimming it. I don't think anything else. Yeah, I mean, because a month from now, we'll have items on list prior to May 1st, 2024. But some of them are still going to be topical, but most of them won't be. Yeah, I guess that's what I would propose, is just like a highlight of old ones that have been updated.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we put just a column date on? I mean, the ones that are prior to April 1st,
Yeah,
we'll consider April 1st,
that makes sense.
and then expected completion date.
Okay.
And if we don't know what that is, we'll figure it out here.
And if there is no expected completion, like that joint loss, just NA. I guess it's gonna go on forever.
And why can't that happen? Just getting people together? Is
Yeah,
that,
well, for a while, we didn't have enough DPW or transfer station
Oh,
staff
okay.
to be able to take them. We now are in pretty good shape that we can do it. And that's why we didn't have enough balance.
okay. So it's actually probably something that could be done in the next month?
I guess looking at the administrator's report, the Board of Selectmen, needs to be updated with Janus and, I guess really just Janus, because Benji kept vice
I
chair.
didn't even upstate, yeah, I got you. Sorry. I did send you the sugar and spice request to be renewed.
Yes.
This is just a request. Typically what happens is we type this. Do you want me to fill in the blanks and send it over to you, or?
That's what I was gonna ask
Yeah,
for.
we definitely
Yeah.
need to see the
You
agreement.
get this first as a request, then you fill in the pertinent information here, send it to you, and then all parties sign.
Okay.
So I have not filled this in, this is the old one that's expired. I sent you the request to let you know that they want to renew.
And how long is the lease for?
We always did 3 years, is what we've done.
Can you do a little research? Can we actually do a 3-year agreement?
Yeah, you can't do 5, they wanted to do 5 last time, and we found the RSA that you
I knew there
couldn't-
was something you couldn't do.
Yes, they
Okay.
couldn't do 5, there was an RSA that didn't allow the 5.
Okay.
When does the current lease expire?
It expired at the end of the year,
Last year or this year?
expired in '23.
Okay.
Anything else on the administrator report? Short-term, long-term priorities? You do?
So these are part of your report that you provided?
That actually, those are part of the list that you provided me.
Yep,
Yeah.
I noticed that.
So I didn't add them to my report,
Okay.
but I actually added them on that I delivered them to you, because there is no other place that
Yep.
I could,
Yep,
unless I make
that's
that.
fine,
Yep.
thank you.
I know that's not all of them, but
Yeah.
that's a
No,
start.
this is good, thank you.
You watching us? You one of the 15?
Are you going to general, short-term, or long-term? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah. So I think it would be helpful if we stated and agreed on what our priorities are so that we make sure that we're always driving toward the most important thing. And then other things get filled in around that as opposed to filling up an agenda with lots of stuff and then not getting to the main thing that we need to do. So I just brainstorm, throw out, and we can whittle down and agree to what the huge priorities are, and then we've got probably a list of things we must still do, keep things going, and then stuff that we can just use as fill-in as everything else gets done. So we've got, let's just say an example, we've got 15 minutes on an agenda somewhere, we'll stick a fill-in thing in there, just to keep things moving. So start with the big stuff and then go to the constant stuff and then fill in.
I think
That's my thought.
number one's easy, the fire department.
Okay? Anybody disagree fire department should be on?
Should be fine.
All right. I also think East Road belongs up there, resolution.
And I'm thinking through our other action items. Would it do harm to say, I'll just leave it separate. I was gonna say Article 25, but that's, just keep it separate.
Okay. Everybody agree East Road?
Yes.
Transfer station permit update. If we don't get that done, we're gonna be in trouble with the state
Yeah,
eventually.
I was gonna say, where, did it expire? I didn't see an expiration
No,
date.
I don't know, they don't expire.
No.
But it does need to be updated because some of the things are not current anymore.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think the hours,
Yeah.
some postings are not current.
We weren't strictly in compliance, but they were, and they gave us, by my memory, they told us, hey, start sorting it out in April, once you have a new board. I remember April coming up,
Yes.
as like, if you get past April, then we'll come knocking.
Yeah. And then the landfill cap needs to be fixed, or we're gonna start getting fines on that eventually. Plus, it's a mess if we don't get it fixed.
Is that the action, just RFP?
The RFP would be the action for that.
Yeah, but just the whole thing, we need to keep it moving, because we'll get fines. So I think those two are not really debatable, because they involve compliance.
Agreed.
And then making sure River Road Bridge keeps going. It's a long-term project, so we've got to make sure that we're not the cause that it falls behind. So I don't know short-term that there's going to be a lot of activity that we have to do, but if we have updates from the engineering firm or actions, I think that needs to be put as a priority on our next meetings.
How much of this is gonna be state prepping to get to the point where we're actually
Yeah, see, I don't
looking?
know what our next step is. At one step, and we're meeting Wednesday morning at 11. I'll have to meet, probably, and Jay will have to stop in, but I don't know what our next step is now that we've picked one. Because we had to have them approve the RFQ, or, yeah, the request for qualifications. Then we had to meet. Now we've narrowed it down. We tell them who it's narrowed down to, and then I don't know the next step. This is the first bridge for me too, so it's been a long time.
So this is just
Go
information that'll come to us on the administrator's report as we're getting closer to an action that we're gonna need to step up on.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
The 3 people that helped with the review of the RFPs and responses, can we send them a thank you?
Yep.
So what else is on the list from your,
Well, we just learned about the sugar and spice lease. It's not a big thing, but it's, I think, a priority.
We have RFPs that we gotta do for, lawn care will be at the end of the year, but we started, or Janice started the legal and the,
Engineering.
engineering.
yeah?
Can we get those scrubbed or a little cleaner to look at? I don't know what we
Yeah,
have.
what it was is we brought them forward. Not everybody had really looked at them, so I said, here, I'll send you my notes.
Yeah.
And then we never came back and talked about them again. I'd be glad to, once we decide what needs to go in there, put them together. Or I can take a draft like James did and put it together, so.
Yeah,
I'm
it'd be
glad
nice
do that.
nice to have something clean, then look at the
Okay.
reference points and say, okay.
Got it, I'll do that.
Because, yeah, last time it felt like we were kind of spinning wheels. You know.
So this is the legal and engineering RFP draft. So, my thought was that, understanding leases and the RFPs for the 2024 services are things that we still must do. They wouldn't necessarily bump things off the agenda to be taken care of, but they need to be put on the agenda as they come up. My mind was the priority stuff, bump stuff to get taken care of if it needs to be.
Yep.
And that
that make
is,
sense?
that's run off of a list that we have? Or you're talking about leases with the town?
We don't have the list yet.
Okay,
It's
we
an
have-
action
we have to
item.
create-
Yeah,
okay.
it's an action item to do that. So sugar and spice was just one of the
Yep.
examples.
Yep. So how are we gonna gather the information as they come up and as the lease is up?
We had asked Naomi to kind of go pull all that together.
Okay,
And then, but that was around town meeting time, so,
yep,
The email that you sent me, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
there was nothing going on at the time.
yeah, nothing.
Do you want to add Article 25 to the list?
Yep, yep. And we do have some information on Article 23 back from NHMA, Primex, and some of the other
Yeah, I
towns,
got
so
only a few towns,
Yeah,
nobody
gotta,
has, nobody's done it, so.
look at all that and then probably go out to the board chairs or boards and ask them their impacts, if anything was put in place.
Yep.
Good. Nobody's mentioned budget yet. We've got to make sure we come in on forecast to the default by the end of the year, and we've got to look at a reduction plan. We can't keep going up and up and up on taxes. I know the school does drive some of that, but we also went up from a town perspective last year.
So when that, usually, Beth will send you guys out a quarterly after she gets the end of, which will probably be next week. I was gonna schedule her in to have a discussion about the reports that you guys get and an update. At that time, do you wanna talk about the audit as well?
Yeah, that would be
Excuse me.
good. And let her know we're gonna be looking for forecast of how we're gonna end the year.
Okay.
I don't think that's something she has been providing.
She's providing,
Or she forecasts, not this time of year, she
Right.
forecasts, yeah.
Yeah, I thought October, kinda, but
she
we
provides
probably ought
a-
to start asking now.
she's been well, I asked her for a copy of the budget today that she sent me, and there's a percentage that we've gone through. So it does have a column
Yeah, but what I don't know from that is, are we expecting 50% of it to be paid out
Okay.
in May?
Yep.
And then we're at 87% and we still have 7 months to go? I don't know. That's, the estimate at complete kind of gives you that.
Just a question, so we get the 115,000 on the taxes, that it eats up part of that default budget, because it has to be paid, have we?
We have not.
We haven't, because I've been here and we haven't talked about it, but, I think it's something we gotta talk about, where that's coming from.
Right, and that's part of the forecast, is how are we gonna end the year under a default number?
I think some of it's coming obviously from DPW not filling slots, but, you know, she will give you, she's already got that, I think, figured out into that, but when she's here, she can talk about the quarterly report, audit, and forecasting.
Yeah, and then the reduction plan is probably something outside of her that we're gonna need to, the reduction plan, how do we not keep going up and up and up every year? And I'm hopefully exaggerating a little bit on the up and up and up, but you get the point. Personnel, hiring, performance management, making sure employees feel our love. Cemetery and cable, those are what I wrote down, other than policy cleanup, Article 25.
Did you say policy cleanup?
Yeah, the stuff I've been doing with Maureen to, you know, some of the stuff that's in there.
So this is like a laundry list, and then we're gonna
Yeah,
prioritize, is that what we're gonna do?
well, I think the top priorities,
Yeah, you
I think
started
I-
with them.
got a head nod, that we already agreed on were fire department, East Road, transfer station, permit, transfer station landfill cap, and River Road. And then budget. Anything else get to the top list? What did I miss?
I'm just glancing at the administrator's report, because that's kind of been a nice holding pen for some things, such as the perambulation that is legally required. It's a little silly, but it was also fun in its own
And I
way.
sent you an email late today.
Oh, okay,
Henniker got hold of me,
okay,
and then the gentleman wants to coordinate with you.
okay,
I let you two coordinate.
okay.
That's the one that we were gonna do and didn't,
Yeah, until
the
spring.
Henniker one, yeah.
Okay.
I did reach out to Sherry as well on the email, to her regular email, and if she wanted to go. She had asked about going.
And that is,
Every 7 years, the selectmen or representatives of selectmen, doesn't have to be us, have to, of two adjoining towns have to meet and walk the border. And what we did with Dunbarton was, what's the guy's name?
Fred Mullen.
Thank you. Fred Mullen of Dunbarton is an absolute pro. He's been doing it forever, and he knew, like, he could close his eyes and walk to, so there are stone markers along the boundary. And he knew where they all were. Part of the job was, you know, see if they're tipped over, broken, any of that. Some of them were managed, along that line, were managed by the Army Corps of Engineers. And then it also involved, like, each side, there was a W and a D, and it said, like, which was on which side, and we just painted over them. And
To
fun,
prove that you've
fun
been there.
fact, the one on Concord Stage Road is backwards. So when you're driving west, you'll see the W on the Dunbarton side. And Fred has been trying, I don't know how many years he said, probably a decade, at least a decade, to get, I think, the state to come in and flip it, and they keep saying no. So
really?
I can't unsee it now that I know that it's there.
Couple of shovels and crowbars and just have it.
They're like 15 foot deep.
Oh, yeah, they're granite markers.
Yeah.
No, it's historical, so can't touch it.
Yeah, well, some of them are from the 1800s, have the
I'm
dates
sure
out
they
there, it's
are.
pretty cool. I don't know, like, he set a very high bar. I don't know how
Yeah.
our other neighboring towns are
Maybe tag him, have him go with you.
Yeah, right. And then we do have the Energy Committee. I know we've kind of
Yeah.
talked committees, but they're,
Yeah. I wrote that down somewhere. That,
Yeah, Janice and I had talked about
economic
it for
development,
May.
energy, and cemetery trustees, see if we can get some volunteers for cemetery trustees sometime in the future.
yeah.
But what I kind of, I think, we talked about energy committee, maybe meeting before last, that we do want to move forward with it, but it just wasn't on the this week, next week kind of thing.
Yep.
We said May for
Yep.
that, so.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
what I did is I emailed them and asked them if they could maybe check out other towns to see if they've got bylaws for energy committees and kind of get the leg up on that start.
Yeah. Do we know, what exactly do they wanna do? I thought I saw him come in here, and he basically was talking about, well, solar was one, but, I think he was also talking about energy conservation, you know, outfitting to stop wasting, energy and whatnot, but, there's a lot of stuff on RSAs and different things, and
There's
how,
one on that,
how the
too.
subcommittees, yeah. So I'm not quite sure exactly what full intentions are. I know some of the energy committees are more like a, not a substation, but a,
Community power.
community power, yeah.
That's what he had talked to me about one night.
That's what his
That's where they're
interest
gonna,
is.
Yeah.
their interest in is going to community power.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the things, that, from my perspective, I wanted to make sure that we gave them direction on was anything that they come up with recommendations like that, obviously would have to go to voters, but it, in my opinion, should be in a opt-in versus opt-out. You know, people don't have to opt out if they don't want it. They
Does-
have to opt in if they do want it.
Does it have to, the energy committee itself, does it have to be voted in?
No,
Does not.
no.
No, because we were gonna put it on the ballot, but town council, because of 3195B, doesn't have to be on the ballot, so we didn't put it on the ballot.
If it's not listed in RSA, like a plan or conservation, whatever, we can spin up any advisory subcommittee we feel like.
Okay.
This being one.
Well, this is in the RSA.
What?
Energy has an RSA.
My goodness. Keep turning pages.
Yep.
More notes.
Pretty comprehensive one, too.
Well,
Yeah, on the list, can we add building department process? You know, we've got a start here of some information from the department itself, but I think that will probably be one of the tasks for the new building
yes.
inspector, code enforcers, to put that together.
Okay. All right. Any ads? Okay, well, this will obviously help us make sure we're moving in the right direction, but also help me make sure that I'm setting the agenda without having to call everybody and say, okay, which is more important? You kind of gave me some direction, so thank you.
Yeah, and I don't really want to get in the habit of kicking East Road. I think it's very, very, very important. But with the DES timelines, I would flip those two at 2 and 3, personally.
Okay.
And again, I don't want to turn this into, well, now it's 3, maybe it's 4, like, I remember those DES folks saying April, and they
That's fine.
had a lot of authority behind them.
There's not gonna be a lot of movement on East Road, you
No.
know, from week to week, so we adjust as necessary.
Yeah.
Okay. And we can always add to this, change it as things move forward, so. Okay. How about the manifests?
I'm not super prepared for this, but it does remind me, because now that we're at 11, I know some Some other boards of selectmen have like a consent agenda, and it's like, if you don't, I don't know what we would add to it besides the manifest, but it may be worth pursuing just to save us a few minutes, see what else we can put in there.
Yeah, they would be routine applications, things like the, I don't know if it really would be it, but something like a intent to cut, or, I'm not saying that's exactly it, but that kind of thing would be on there, I would assume.
Yeah. It's something I've been meaning to bring up for months, and I always forget about it, because the manifest's
Yeah.
this late.
To order the treasurer to sign the payroll and accounts payable checks dated April 4th, 2024, including the following manifests. Payroll, $1,682.03. Accounts payable, $30,820.36. John Stark accounts payable, $250,000, and Ware School accounts payable, $500,000, for a total of $886,902.39. So if I didn't say that at the beginning, it's a motion to approve.
Second?
All in favor? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, 4-0. Thank you very much. Okay, we've hit on the administrator report, correspondence, other business. There's been correspondence from Mr. Gannon on Flanders Memorial Road requesting a speed limit change. I believe we're going to put that on an upcoming agenda. I haven't done any research to see how a speed limit actually gets changed, so.
So, you have to have a public hearing.
Right, okay,
Do you want to hear his concerns
Yeah.
and then post
Yeah.
the public hearing?
yeah.
Because Chief Moore would be available whenever you want to put on the agenda.
Yeah, and I'd like Chief Moore to present all the data that he collected, because I think that's good for the public to know
Yeah,
what
he
he
just
did.
said, just to let him know, and he would be here that night.
Okay. I had another person contact about the fire vehicle being out and about and wanting to know what the policy is on personal use, so if we can get that answer sometime soon, that would be great. There was a request from Washington, New Hampshire, I believe this probably went to you, Naomi, about website domain move, and they
Change it
wanted
from the
to,
.org to the
Yeah.
.gov.
yeah, they wanted to get our opinion on some lessons learned, so I'm assuming you're gonna handle that. And we talked about the advisory committee, and another request came in via email to consider that, so. I believe you wanted to talk about some other things under other.
Yep, one thing I was concerned about is the BOS email group. Town administrator is on that group, and if people feel they are emailing the Board of Selectmen, I don't think that town administrator should be on that grouping.
I have heard the same concern from people. They're surprised after the fact that they're emailing everybody. So,
Well, it's helpful
Yeah.
in many instances to have the town administrator on there, because a lot of times it's things that she can just take care of. So I can see in other things that they might want to send something, then just send it to a board member. Maybe a disclaimer or something on it that says, these are the people that are in that group, and if you want to send it individually, here's their emails.
certainly, the vast majority of them, like, I can't think of an instance off the top of my head where it's like, oh, shoot, it's too bad Naomi saw that. But it does, naming is board members, and I'd say probably the majority of them we'd end up having to forward anyway. But,
Right, and making that in a timely manner is, I know you all have day jobs and
so,
might not see things, so. In my opinion, it's very helpful for her to get things of a administrative nature and real time.
So how do you put that disclaimer?
Is she listed on the web as being part of that?
No one is,
distribution?
it just says email the board.
That,
but then you also, like, it's on every header too. It's in a lot of places.
Yeah.
I just think it's misleading myself, but
Well, can
I
we
understand.
look at it and see if there's maybe something we can do as far as where we can put, these are the members? See if that would help. Not saying no, I'm just asking if we could.
Yeah, or is there another reflector? Basically create another one. So it's like board members would be just board members, and then one that includes the town administrator. I can't think of what that could be called. Sort of have the default and the board members.
Is it because you don't want me to see things? Is that the idea?
It's,
'Cause
I
all
ha-
I'm just
I-
saying is I got thrown under the bus for you guys when we sat here and had Kyle become our interim. And then the next morning, I went tooth and nail with somebody and he acted like I was an idiot because you guys all got emailed that he backed out. And I said, oh, no, he's not gonna back out. And so I spent 20 minutes with somebody to tell him that, oh, no, you're wrong. We're doing this. He's gonna go get certified and we're gonna help. So after he left and being called an idiot, then I called Ricky and said, what's going on? And he said, my bad, didn't forward it to you. So how am I supposed to
Yeah, and
know
that was
what
just a
you
matter of
conducted
hours.
business Monday night with? I knew nothing about, and I defended what you fought
yeah,
for.
and that's what I'm trying to prevent. Say,
And
if it says
I don't
board
have to
members-
answer anybody, but there are some things that come my way during the day that might be helpful to you, but
No, I mean, I agree with what Dave's saying, that if it
if I'm
says
in
board
charge of
members, you
day-to-day.
know, if it says board members, but it's not strictly board members, I have heard people say the same thing of like, wait a minute, it's not just board members. So then, that's why I was thinking, is there another term or something that could be the default? And reserve board members for just the 5 board members, but have one that's like, hey, here's the one that we prefer people to use.
I'm of the opinion that that Naomi should be on that as a group. And because there's going to be too many email addresses to try to keep track of and too many groups, which one is, you're going to have to pay attention to which one does it come in on, and then say, okay, this one we need to forward, or this one, oh, she's already on this one, or this one, no, we don't forward. I think there's more benefit to keeping her in the loop than making it a manual process to forward
Which is
most
why we
everything.
went through the agony of putting your individual emails underneath your name if you want to go individually. But there are things that happen during the day, and I won't answer on behalf of the board, that I could have already cut off and called Janice. But not knowing, how do I know? And then I'm supposed to be in charge of what goes on during the day, and everybody has a private conversation, I have no idea. But yet I know what we did here at night till 11 or 12 o'clock, defend you, and then get blindsided by an email that didn't include me. I mean, if I had saw that email, I would have said, yeah, sure, he backed out.
Yep.
But I fought for you guys and said, oh, no, you're mistaken, this is what we did, and I tried to defend what you did, but, I mean, doesn't matter. I mean, I just think it was informational, and if you don't want me to reply, I have no problem replying, and I can pick up the phone and call the chair, I always did before. So, I just think we went through great strengths of, under the board members, if you'd like to individually reach you, then you can individually do that, and I know people do that. And that's fine, I don't have a problem with that, that's why we publish your numbers, your emails. But at the same time, there's things that happen during the day that happen here that I don't have any idea, which, and then I get dished for it on an evaluation. Because I'm supposed to be in charge of day-to-day, but yet I can't be included in everything, which totally understand. But at the same time, your individual emails, so if someone has an issue with me, they can individually email you, right?
So are you saying the expectation of the people emailing the board is that it's being looked at by you? Or,
I don't know what anyone's expectation is, because I always get it twice, because people do board members and me on the same two. They go board members and Bolton. So I get it twice in some cases, not all. So I don't know what anyone's expectation is. I've also been accused of being the sixth board member, so I'm just saying that, you know, I won't reply if it comes to board members, but if I had an issue and I knew something was up, I could reach Janice. I can pick up the phone and call her as chair. I did that with Chairman Hippler.
I still think if we had I think the default should be to include the town administrator, but I do think the phrase board members isn't clear that it does. So that's where I'm hung up trying to think of a word. So far, I've only come up with town at where NH.gov.
Then you're gonna get
It
laws.
sounds like a lot, well, it
Yeah.
sounds more like, oh, you're gonna have DPW and
Yeah.
the police chief, fire chief, and everybody.
Board members and Naomi at where, and
Well, I'll look at the website and see if there's any way that we can put some kind of, this is who gets this, and see if we can at least temporarily come up with something and see if
I'm
we
sure
can
we
find
could
a
put a
better
disclaimer
longer.
on there that board members include me, and
Yeah.
you could leave it at that.
And then see if we can come up with a longer-term plan if that doesn't solve it. Thoughts?
I don't have a better answer.
Yeah, I don't either. It's at least something.
All right, so will we get putting a disclaimer on the website?
Or an explanation, I guess is more of a. Try it.
Yep.
this,
And if it doesn't satisfy, we still think there's confusion, then we'll see what else we can do. Did anyone else have any correspondence or other business?
the only other business I have for Park and Rec, and just to confirm that the fields, the town property on East Road, has already been mulched with manure and everything, is not up for availability for practice fields.
They have.
That's my question. The request was if they could use those fields as practice fields.
Well, I think the answer is gonna be a year from now, isn't
Yeah,
it? We can't give
we can't give
something-
anybody
Okay.
permission to use them at this
I
point.
know Conservation is looking at a lease agreement with the farmer.
Yep.
And
They
we've
talked
also,
about it last time, they're gonna talk about it next week.
I just wanted to.
Right.
Yep.
I agree, probably no less than.
yeah, it's gonna be a little while, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I'll say it again, we've got two contradictory directions, and we've gotta figure out how to deal with them.
No,
We're moving forward, but it's gonna take a while.
Park's doing a walkthrough coming up about all the different fields to see what condition they are and whether they can open them up sooner or later. If they're too muddy, they're not going to be able to do it sooner.
Everything's muddy, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw that Bolton's still locked, because
Right.
there was like 3 cars out there Saturday afternoon at the gate. I don't know if they walked in.
No, I just wanted to provide an official answer,
Okay.
which is not right now, but,
TBD.
yeah.
We're working on it.
Yep.
Did, did we schedule any exit interviews with the fire department personnel?
No, I can do that if you wanted to. I mean, Janice and I had briefly talked about it, not at
Yeah,
all.
I think so.
I'll have to see what their schedules are, because they do odd, and then the one phone call, I'll
Yeah, see
just
if they'll
double
do a
check.
phone.
I do have a cell phone, I can ask him.
Okay,
And he moved out of state, is that why it's a phone?
Say that again?
The
yes.
gentleman moved out of state,
Yeah,
that's why it was
yeah,
a phone?
David asked if we could do that through the phone, and we can do that, that's not a problem.
Okay.
Could, and I don't know if the town administrator report is the place to add it, but could you have the building department let us know weekly how many permits we have
Okay.
in queue, how many we've issued, number of complaints we've received, if we have any outstanding that we haven't resolved?
In general, or just for building?
Or, well, I don't know where else do we have complaints that come in? It's just, it would be nice to know what that,
Streets, people saying, do something with my streets, I'm not happy.
DPW,
Yeah.
I don't know if they
Well,
keep track of.
I don't know if she does or not. They typically would call and leave a message down there.
All right.
I don't see that.
It'd be nice to track some of that,
Okay.
that's all I'm saying. How many do we get? How many are outstanding? How many resolved?
Especially hiring a building inspector, be able to, if we have that info, like, totally ready to go.
You almost need a bug tracking or something on,
A what?
Scrum list.
yeah, for, for when you're doing development work, you keep a bug list of, people can submit, error reports and things like that.
Everyone knows the site walk for the Conservation Committee is postponed.
Yeah.
We won't be building snowmen. And I don't know if any of you read the NHMA brochure that came in the emails. But a few things that look like they're gonna change the landscape of rural or residential communities. There was HB 1361, HB 1291, and HB 1399, basically approving any lot, you can have 2 ADUs. You cannot, outside of one parking space, you can't limit the number of parking spaces per occupant. And then they're pulling back restrictions, or not restrictions, but basically manufactured home parks. They're lightening up how you can treat those or zone them. So a lot of stuff coming through that.
And you said it was 1291, 1400, and what?
There was 1361, 1291, and 1399.
Okay. There's also a 1400 that is pertinent to that discussion.
It probably was, yes. But it was just interesting. You might want to take a look at them, so.
Yeah, the parking spaces was under 1400.
I knew 1361 was on its way, but I didn't
Yeah.
know about the other.
So my understanding, and I may be wrong, that these have made it through the House but not yet through the Senate?
Sounds like these are going to effect in July of next year.
They've been through the Senate
Of
now.
next year?
Yeah. So it's my understanding these will be in effect.
Okay. Well, you love it when the government takes control.
Well, it takes away control.
Well, they're taking
this case.
control. They're taking
It's like,
control, yeah.
let the
They're taking
away
towns,
our
let the
control.
towns
Yeah.
decide how charming they want to be.
Yeah,
Just-
but not
it's-
now.
It's so frustrating. Like, I don't know. Don't all need to just homogenize the entire state. Don't all want to turn into Concord, Goffstown. Whatever.
So anyway, that's all I get.
Okay. I went to the planning board meeting, and that's pretty much the outreach.
I appreciate you calling out that we needed an alternate, because I needed my
First
alternate
week.
immediately.
Yeah.
I was,
Hope you feel better.
thank you, I do
And,
feel
you
better.
know, some more over here by Dave. Selectman Pratt's my friend right now, not you.
I feel better, but,
You don't sound better.
well, sorry,
No, I'm just saying you don't sound better.
maybe
Okay.
relatively better.
All right, anything else, gentlemen, ladies?
Only that my daughter wanted me to say hi to everybody, and don't forget to like and subscribe.
Supposed to do that at the beginning, and do we have the click here button?
Excuse me, one more motion.
Yes.
Under C, we didn't seal or not seal?
Not seal,
Yeah, I think as
We
long as they're
never-
written,
as long as they're written generically.
Okay, I just
the-
wanted to
on that-
remind you.
On that last one, right?
Yeah.
No, C, you did the interview under B, and you did 2 departments under C.
Yeah, we discussed personnel.
Okay, I just wanted you to know, okay? Okay,
Yeah.
before we adjourned, that's all.
Okay. All right. Let's see, it is 11:17. A motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
All right, second.
Second?
Anyone disagree, all in favor? Yes.
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 Okay.
Anybody disagree? Yes?
No.